like a store and I've got pill bottles and I'm just like fisting Xanax and dude, like smoking heroin in the car. And he's like, you can't do this while we're like, we got a van full of criminals with a van full of stolen merchandise.
So, Maddie, welcome. Welcome to the show. You have 2.5 years of sobriety. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's funny, we have a bunch of mutual friends in common.
We do.
TCAV, Frank,
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
All good people. All good people working
Amazing men.
a very strong program, and they help other people, which is what you're doing now. And what I love, I hate that it happened to you, but I love that you have relapse in your story.
Yeah.
I have relapse as well. You said you relapsed after 3.5 years, which we're going to cover. We're going to talk about. I had 3.5 years and relapsed. And it's like that 3.5 year mark.
So
Why it's
dangerous.
so significant.
Yeah.
But you're back now. You have 2.5 years. And the big difference is you're helping people.
That is the thing that moves the needle the most in my day-to-day, for sure.
Yeah. And you said TCAV really helped you get sober and helped you along the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here, but I also wouldn't be sober if it wasn't for the help that he gave me, for sure.
Wow. Shout out TCAV.
Shout out TCAV.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, he helps a lot of people. And it's so funny. We were just talking. He's so intimidating looking. And he was
like 6'3".
He's a big dude.
And like probably 230 pounds.
Scary looking dude. If he doesn't say a word to you and you're just standing there in his presence, he's a scary dude.
Sure.
But then when he talks, he's the most loving, empathetic, kind person. And I couldn't imagine him using though. Holy shit.
He was not only like the amount that he was consuming, but like the minds. Actually, he tells stories about it. Like, he was a monster.
Yeah. And the fact that he helped you and you're here today is truly amazing. You have quite the story, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Again, you talk about relapse. I want to talk about what's keeping you sober today.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your run-ins with the law.
Yeah.
You robbed a bank.
Yeah.
And you were part of, is it the Asian Crips?
No, I was in an Asian blood clique.
Oh,
in San Diego.
It. Yeah. Got it. Wow, that was way off. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so gang life. Let's go to early childhood. Where are you from originally? What was early childhood like for you?
I was born in Utah, right? My parents are Mormon. And I was born at the BYU Birthing Center. It's now a Taco Bell because I was born in 89. So that was forever ago. But very quickly, like within a couple weeks, I was living back in my people are all from San Diego. So raised in San Diego, born in Utah, and I'm a product of the 90s. How old are you?
I am 41.
Okay, so products of the 90s,
Same.
right?
Yep.
And the 90s were probably, I call it the peak American experience. You know, like people were getting stimulus checks back from their taxes. So like there was a surplus. But at that time in San Diego, it was the border wars, right? Like the border wars were going on, the gang wars were going on. This is like probably right when gangbanging became was in its full maturity. Like pretty soon after that, it started to fall off and it became what it is today, which is a very watered down. Unfortunately, like a lot of people say that people in prison have no morals and values, right? I've been to prison a few times, and I would argue that there's more morals and values baked into that lifestyle. They're just different, right? So that's the kind of thing where like your word can kill you or have someone else killed, right? So you have to like really, really understand the power that the tongue has. But then also it's like honor, respect, loyalty, all these things, right? Same thing back then was like the gangs it was a different culture, right? And I was surrounded by this. I was raised in East San Diego and like downtown, almost Southeast San Diego area, right? And I remember there was a kid in my first grade class, little black kid. His name was Bud. Like that was what everybody called him. And he smoked weed already. Like he was 7 years old smoking weed. And this is just like one of my friends that I play with on the playground, right? And so that was like a heavy influence. My grandfather married a Mexican woman with gangbanger sons, and I was left with them. That's who I also wanted to be around, right? It was like, there was like this allure. And also, I'm the oldest of 10 kids. And so by the time I was 13, all 10 of us were born. And so there was very little time for all of us, right? Also, my dad is grinding through college and law school and like, so there really is like a very like a satisfactory amount of oversight as far as like parenting,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely not enough for like individual nurturing, right? So they were parenting, but they were doing the best that they could.
Mm-hmm.
Because of this, like I was left in situations with family members that ultimately led to like sexual abuse, right? And also drug exposure, gangbanging exposure, sexual abuse. Like, so all of these components were like the perfect recipe for like downstream to set up like a drug addict, right? Um, so culturally, um, also within the home, so environmentally, and then also location wise, and then the time, right? I'm a product of all of that. And so go through school, and dude, it was like I was raised extremely religious, right? So, but I also had this other side of me that just really wanted to do different things. And I learned very quickly that I was allowed to go do those things. Obviously, I couldn't tell my parents, like, hey, I want to go smoke weed and mess with girls. But if I fulfilled my obligations in the home and I fulfilled my obligations to the church, right? So, like, as long as I was doing what I needed to do here, I could go do what I wanted to do over here. And so I had this double life thing going on really young, right? Started smoking weed on my 13th birthday while my mom and everybody was at the hospital for my last sibling's birth, right? That we were all waiting for him to like come home, and I like went off and rode bikes with a neighbor kid and smoked weed. Within a month, I had tried crack, right? And I mean, it was just it happened very quickly because I remember exactly what I thought. I was like, smoking weed is amazing. What else are they lying to me about? Right? That was my exact thought at 13 years old. Right? And the reality of the situation at this time was I was being homeschooled. I was surfing basically all day, like every day that I possibly could. So spending all my time out of the immediate purview of like my parents' influence. Right? So, yeah, it's San Diego, right? 2000, 2001, and I'm just like living life, and I'm a kid, and I just have these desires. And I can't really explain to you like what really set this off as far as like decision making. But I just know for sure by the time I was 12, 13, I understood that as long as I did what I needed to over here, I could do what I wanted. And what I wanted to do was typically the complete opposite of what I was supposed to do.
Mm.
Right. And so you fast forward now, we move, and now I'm in high school, and it just, dude, it accelerates, right? Like now I'm doing coke whenever I can and smoking weed basically daily.
Where'd you guys move to? One thing I've learned in my own recovery is that you can't do this alone, and you don't have to. I know that firsthand. I went through inpatient treatment at Caron treatment centers, and it changed the course of my life. That's why I am proud to announce that I've partnered with Caron. For nearly 70 years, they've helped people and families not just break free from addiction, but actually heal and transform their lives. They're in network with all major insurance providers, and same-day admission is available. So if you or someone you love is struggling, don't wait. Call Caron at 855-352-0103. That's 855-352-0103. Help starts with taking that first step.
San Marcos,
Got
so North County, San
Mhm.
Diego. And it's just far enough away from everything where you can't really get anywhere. And it's isolated enough where everybody knows each other.
Mm.
Right. And so and also there's a college, a university, 3 high schools, and a bunch of middle schools, right? So, and I'm in that perfect age pocket where I'm partying at the colleges, and we're partying with like middle school kids are coming to these parties too. So the spread of ages is like insane, right? For at least for that age, like 13-year-olds to 24-year-olds. And we're all partying together, right? And so It really accelerates. Also, the oversight gets less and less and less because now I'm like in school and I'm doing whatever it is I need to do. My brothers are in high school with me. Like it's starting to turn into a circus, right? And I get expelled. I get expelled November 11th of my junior year. I get caught for just some really dumb stuff. And I get expelled and I get sent to the juvenile court correctional school. Well, it's a self-paced curriculum. So I finished my junior and senior year in probably 2 months, like about 2 months, right?
So you're done.
So I'm done. But now guess what I'm doing? I'm sitting at home doing drugs. And they've got all these little kids in their house, right? But also like when I was expelled, I was also arrested and it was my first felony. And I could feel the proverbial gates of my future shut, right? Because my goal was I was going to go to college, I was going to go to university, I was going to go to law school and join the family firm, right? Uh, wasn't an option anymore, right? Because I caught a serious felony, and they can't accept you. Like you can go, but you can't practice law. Like you could go to law school, right? You could pay for the education, you can get the degree, but you can't do anything with it. And within
What did you do to get a felony as a junior?
Yeah, so it's a convoluted story, right? We go to this party, a dude like spills beer on my car. I then take that car to school. The drug dogs hit on that car and they searched my car and they found a bunch of stuff in there. And yeah, I was expelled for having that stuff on school campus.
Got it.
Right. But I was also arrested because it was illegal substances and things like this. Right. And so,
of course. All right. So you're home. All the chaos is going on. The plan was to go to law school, but you can't do anything with it with a felony on your record. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I wanted to get the backstory there.
Very quickly, I realized like, I don't know what to do. And also very quickly, I start smoking heroin. Right. And so now I'm living in my parents' house. I'm not doing anything. I don't work. I have no job. I'm not going to school. I have no obligations. I have no responsibilities. And like by now I'm 17 and I'm slamming heroin. I mean, I'm slamming heroin in my parents' house with a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, like a bunch of little kids. And my parents are like, dude, you got to go. Like, you got to go. Right. Basically, like you don't have to stop, I guess, but you can't do it here. And so I think it was like a scared straight tactic and it just didn't work. Right. I figured out how to survive and then live. Right. And I ended up living at a recording studio. And that became my life. Right. Like I was just doing drugs, hanging out with rock stars. I met at the time there was like there was a bunch of really big bands out of San Diego, but one of these bands practiced at this studio. A few of them did actually. And I became friends with them. And then I was like roading for bands. And if I wasn't at a practice or 3 every night, I was at like a show at a bar or a garage show or something. And this just became my life. And this whole time I'm doing drugs though. So it's like, how am I going to, well, there's a ton of drugs around anyway. But it gets to the point where like I need to support my own habit, right? And I get into this theft ring with my uncle. And dude, I can't even start to describe to you how insane this next year of my life was. But I went to like 38 states in 11 months. We're just flying all over the country stealing from this one store.
What was the scam?
So we would, dude, and this is so insane. We had like so at first it was just my uncle and his wife, and they would go into this one store and they would empty a diaper genie. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
So they would empty that box, they would put it on the display thing, and then they would put breast pumps in the box, and then they would just go buy the box and leave with a couple $1,000s worth of merchandise. And so by the time I started doing it with him, they had kind of burned all the stores around us. And now he's like, I need to do this on a bigger scale and I need to do this with a bigger box. right? Like I need to like start going to different counties and doing this. So of course, like he's also a drug addict, right? He's like him and I are the black sheep, right? He's also the uncle that sexually abused me.
Okay.
So there's like weird dynamics going on here, right? Like him and I had, by this point, he had come to me so many times. He's a meth addict, so he just like the mental prison and torture of that drug, coupled with what he had done, right? So him and he was always around because I didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell anybody, right? So he was just always around. So he had come to me so many times, like, and apologized, right? Obviously, probably like coming down or like super spun out and like apologized, like vehemently apologized over and over and over. So anyway, there's like this guilt thing that he has with me. And so he hits me up one day and he's like, hey, I need you to meet me at this store. I'm like, okay. So I meet him at this store and he's like, there's a box in the store on this shelf. I need you to go buy it. I was like, okay. So I go in there, I buy it, I come out, and he hands me $100, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Like, but what's going on? And he opens the box and says, this is what I'm doing. Like, do you want to help me? He's like, I'll give you $100 a box. I'm like, okay, perfect, right? Like, if we do one box a day, like, dude, that's everything that I need. I didn't realize that he wanted to do multiple boxes out of the same store, if possible, and hit multiple stores a day. This became my life now. And it got to the point where we had it like choreographed perfectly, right? So he would go in, fill the box. I would go in, buy the box. But it just got like so, I mean, now we're trying to like load 20 of these things into a car seat box, right? And it gets to the point where we need more moving parts. Like there needs to be more people in the store. There needs to be like, this guy go get this thing, this guy go get this thing. We all converge in the same place. He loads the box quickly. A different person comes in and buys the box, right? So it becomes this like giant orchestration where now I've got all my friends doing it with us, right? And now instead of me getting $100 a box, we're paying them $100 a box, and me and him are splitting the profit, which is substantial.
Thousands.
Well, dude, because the thing is, he found a buyer in Malaysia that would pay 80% of the sticker price for every unit, right? So now it gets to the point where she's making pre-orders and we're flying to San Francisco and we're saying we need to get 300 of these things, right? We're going to Houston and we need to get 1,000 of these things over a month, right? And so now we're getting online and we're mapping out, like we're going to hit here, 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 we're going to hit here. We're going to go to Dallas. We're going to hit here. We're going to hit here. We're going to hit here. And then we're going to go back to Houston. We're going to hit the same stores again. And then we're going to go to San Antonio and we're going to hit these stores. And then we're going to go back to Dallas and hit the same stores again. And dude, we're cleaning out inventories.
So if my math is correct, if you get 1,000 in 1 month, and let's just say they're $1,000 each breast pump, and he's paying 80% of it, that's 800 grand in a month.
Yeah. So we would pay for the trips, the hotels, the flights, like everything. Because, dude, now we've got 6 people coming with us. We got to get cars, hotels, drugs, right? Like that was part of the deal is like, we'll pay for the drugs, we'll pay for everything. Like you come out. So by the time we're done, we're probably splitting. Plus, dude, we're a fucking wreck. Like we are literally like losing inventory. And in the city, we would just mail it from the city. So we would go work all day and then we would mail it that day, right? And then she would be like, okay, got it, whatever. It's like this whole orchestration, right? And so, yeah, when I did the math, when him and I did the math, because he's doing PayPal and like everything's online, so we can track, like he's got an LLC of a baby store. Like he's got a baby store that sells, like, dude, it's a whole thing. By the time 11 months, I had made $800,000 and I hadn't paid rent. Dude, like by the time this all like crashed and burned, like I hadn't paid rent in months. I was so paranoid. I couldn't leave my house, right? Like my whole, also during this time period, my brother gets kicked out of the house because I got him hooked on heroin. right? So he's now living with me. I got this girlfriend who now is just partying, right? So this is the thing. We would leave for 4 days out of the week and we'd be home for 4 days, for 3 days, right? So we would leave on Thursday and we would come back Monday and we'd be home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And then we'd leave Thursday. And I did this every week for, 48 weeks.
Jesus
And
Christ.
dude,
How did it come crashing down, Burn?
nobody got busted. Well, okay. By the time I quit, nobody had gotten busted, right? But I was so paranoid. We're crossing state lines, okay? And this was in 2006 and 7. So this is why I talk about it now. It's because statute of limitations is up, right? And somebody did get busted for this eventually, but I was so paranoid that I couldn't leave my house. And I was on so much drugs, like it was just feeding this, like it was like a closed loop, right? Of like paranoia and then like fear around going to federal prison. Cause now I'm like about to turn 18 and like, so I just told my uncle, like, dude, I can't do this anymore. Like I literally can't. It gets to the point where we're at like a store and I've got pill bottles and I'm just like fisting Xanax and dude, like smoking heroin in the car. And he's like, you can't do this while we're like, we got a van full of criminals with a van full of stolen merchandise. And you're like trying to smoke in front of the store. Right. And I'm like, I literally can't hold this together anymore. Also, the reason why we're splitting the profit is because I'm planning the trips. Right? Like I'm actually the one that's orchestrating the jobs.
Yep.
And I'm giving people their assignments and like, you go do this, we're doing this. This is on this aisle, go get this mattress. Dude, it was a whole thing, right? So it came crashing down really after I stopped. And it's because somebody else was doing the same thing in a different part of the state. The guy that taught my uncle how to do this got busted. And then my uncle got busted, right? And now, dude, it was like, how are we going to, at least the way that I heard it went down was my uncle stopped paying the people, right? Now they're like going on trips for free, but they're all dependent on it. And he's just kind of like stringing them along. It became this whole thing. He would disappear for the whole 3 days, right? He's got daughters. He's got like baby daughters. Anyway, it turns into this whole thing. It doesn't necessarily come crashing down around me, but it did
of course.
come crashing down at some point, right?
Yeah.
Well, that girl that was living at my house, she would babysit my brother, right? I ended up marrying her. And we're 18, right? And we're using drugs, we're partying. I met her. And basically every time we saw each other, let me think about this. I don't think we ever saw each other. I mean, our whole relation, I don't think we ever once saw each other sober. Right? Not once. I'm pretty positive of that. And I mean, yeah, anyway, we ended up getting married. And this is a highly volatile relationship. We're like beating the shit out of each other and stuff. And like, I mean, it was fucked up, honestly. Like it was bad. I get arrested and I'm on my way to prison, right? For the first time.
What did you get arrested for?
So, dude, it was her and I were fighting, and like she took off, and I'm chasing her, and I crashed the car into another car. Okay, well, the people that I crashed into was our neighbor, and they hated us, right? So, my parents' neighbor, right? And dude, imagine like my parents have all these kids. They move into this neighborhood that has been like the same neighborhood for forever. They've got all these kids, and there's a circus going on with their older sons, like, and now there's this even bigger circus with like his wife and like all this stuff. I crashed my car into my neighbors. There was 4 of them in the car, and they told the cop that I was behind them, that the driver saw me purposefully crash into them. So I got 4 assaults with the deadly weapon. Right?
All right. So now you're going to prison.
Now I'm going to prison. And a week after I get arrested, I call home. And my mom's like, hey, Barbara needs to tell you something. I'm like, okay. Like first of all, I called her phone. And so my mom answers and I'm like, what the fuck? So she gets on the phone. She's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what? Like, okay. Well, I'm on my way to prison, right? We didn't really know what was going to happen yet, right? Obviously, it was a week after I got arrested, but I pretty much knew. Like, I'd been arrested a bunch of times up until this point. I'd already done like a little bit of county time and stuff. But I'm like talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, dude, you're fucked, right? Like, you're going to prison." I'm like, okay. So that's a whole mess. My wife now is living with my parents. My mom, bless her heart, has never been a fan of the women that I dated, to say the least, right? I like brought this girl over to their house one time and she asked, like, hey, where do I go to the bathroom? And my mom's like, you can go outside. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So needless to say, she wasn't the biggest fan of this girl.
Yep.
And now they're living together. But she's like also doing drugs and drinking, right? And she's pregnant. And now she's doing it while she's pregnant. And I wasn't there to really be able to tell you what happened, and I really don't have a clear picture of what happened. But at the time, it's 2008, and I'm in prison, and I think I get to prison in October. Okay, so I get to prison in October, and I'm in reception in the California prison system. I'm in Donovan, and the mailroom gets backed up during the holidays, right? So I get my mail on time, and 6 weeks is basically like the average time. Through that holiday season, it was backed up like months, right? So they're trying to tell me what's going on, but I'm not getting the letters, right? So by the time I actually figure out what's going on, I'm like at the yard that I'm going to go do time at. And I called home and I still hadn't gotten the mail, right? So my first phone call home, it's like, Barbara did this and did that, and the baby and this and that. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, just like get hit with the tidal wave of just really fucked up news.
Mhm.
And it all kind of like culminated in this last situation where um, the baby gets born. She's a couple months old. Barbara is hanging out with this dude and obviously like hooking up with him or whatever. They're
Mhm.
drinking, they're doing drugs, and she's using one of my parents' cars. She gets it impounded and they break into the impound and steal the car out, bring it to my parents' house, drop it off, and the cops show up in the morning trying to arrest my mom because on camera, like it looks like her, right? So
Mhm.
they're trying to arrest my mom, and like it's another circus of like just I'm in prison, and it's still just my wreckage, just causing just all this havoc in my parents' life, right? And so that kind of like was the last straw, right? They kicked her out. They keep the baby. My parents end up adopting the baby and raised her. So now I have like a 17-year-old daughter today that doesn't know that I'm her dad,
Yeah.
right? And that's where like the the show is over for her at that point with my family, right? So I get out, I go in, and I get arrested in like 2008. I come out in 2012.
Okay, so you did 4 years for that.
A little bit more than 3
You
years.
had priors, so it was another offense, and then it was
Yeah.
the severity of the offense. So you get
Yeah,
three and a
well,
half years.
yeah, not just that. I was supposed to go do 3 years with half. Okay. Um, but basically a month and a half before my release date, I get caught with drugs in prison. So now I'm calling my mom on my release date from a county jail. And she's like, "What is going on?" And I'm like, I'm not coming home, you know?
Mm.
And then she hangs up, looks at my charges, and dude, they're flipping out, right? And so, but dude, I got sentenced to another 3 years with half. And then I got like write-ups and stuff like this. So it's supposed to be like 3 years of actual time that I was supposed to do, but because of write-ups, it was a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get out of prison, dude, and keep in mind, like I'm slamming heroin my whole prison term, right? And I tell people this all the time is that like prison is not it is a business, right? It isn't meant to be a one-stop shop where people get better and go home, right? It's a system that keeps people trapped within itself, right? And even if you get out, you're coming back. The statistics are there, right? The recidivism rate is insane, and then the amount of time that on average people stay out, it's insane, right? Like if you go to prison, you're pretty much guaranteed to go back, right? So, I overdosed 3 days after I get out of prison.
So you were using heroin in prison, you continue to use when you get
Oh,
out,
for sure.
and then you overdose.
I
Were you
overdosed.
shooting it at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I started shooting before I went to prison, but I overdosed 3 days after I get out. And mind you, like my parents don't want me at their house, right? I just got out of prison. They got this whole circus going on with my daughter, right? Like, so they put me in a sober living, right? And I overdose and I don't go home that day, right? And immediately they're calling my parents. My parents are calling me, "Where are you?" And immediately it's just the lies, dude. It's like I don't even know what I told them, but like I somehow convinced the sober living not to drug test me and like to excuse this very serious offense, right? I'm in my first week there. I'm supposed to, first of all, I'm not supposed to be really leaving, but if I'm leaving, I'm supposed to be there, like back by 10. And everybody there is like working a program. And like, I mean, it was like I somehow convinced them not to drug test me and like to like excuse this violation.
That's what we do. We manipulate.
Yeah, dude,
Yep.
but I still can't like I wish I could remember what I told him because now in the position that I'm in, I would for sure he's getting tested. Like no, he's for sure getting tested. And so
Mhm.
like I don't even know like what I could have possibly told them to like but
So you're living in the sober living.
yeah, and I mean obviously it's just chaos
Yep.
immediately. I hit the ground running. And that happens. I end up getting kicked out of there and now I'm living like I find a room in someone's house. That's a dude, never look it. I'm gonna give advice to people that are using right now that are trying to get away with like the living the double life. Don't wrap up other people in your shit, dude. Like there's collateral damage that's gonna happen to other people. It's just not fair to them, right? Like if you're gonna go do this stuff, well, I'll get to there. Just stop lying to people to further your addiction. But yeah, that's a whole mess. I get kicked out of there. Now I'm somewhere else. It's a mess, dude. And it gets to the point where I'm lying to so many people. I even convinced my parents to let me live with them, right?
Back.
Back with them. After the cops kicked my door at some lady's house that I'm living at, kicked her door in, like destroyed her house. I'm back in jail. And after all this, I still convince them, like, hey, I got to move out of there. Can I just live at your house? Right. And somehow I convinced them. And mind you, like, my brother's in recovery. My parents are very aware of like addict behavior. And I still, and this is the thing is like, parents have it hardwired into their DNA to protect their kids. Right. And so a lot of us will lie and steal and manipulate from them first because access, right? Like, we're going to take advantage of what we have the most access to first.
It's the closest people to you.
Yeah. And so this was like the last straw where like I'm now living in their house and I very quickly realized like I'm going to start stealing from them. I'm going to like this is going to be really bad. And I wake up one day and realize like I'm going down the same path that my uncle went down. The difference is my parents are not enablers. Like they aren't going to be okay with this. Once this hits the fan, I'm like fucked. And if I burn these bridges with my family, like there's a good possibility that I'll never be welcome back. Even if I straighten my life up, like my parents aren't those kind of people. They're not going to coddle you, right? So I mean they can't. They've got real responsibilities to kids that are still not fucking up, right? So why would they allow me to poison the well? Like it just doesn't even make sense, right? So I just remember like making this decision like I am going to cut all ties and just go do whatever it is that I need to do, right? So like literally from one day to the next, like they were paying for my phone at this point, like turned off my phone and I just left. And I never had social media. Like up until September when I started my podcast, my last social media profile was a MySpace, right? So because of like the drugs and then prison and then getting out of prison, and it just wasn't really like a thing. Facebook was kind of like taking off at the time. But I didn't talk to my family for over a decade. Like no calls. And mind you, like we're in the same city, right? I didn't talk to them for a decade. Some of them it was like up to 14 years. Some of my siblings, like I didn't talk to them for basically their entire upbringing, right? Like I have siblings today that really don't know me, right? Like it's just the hard fact of it is I chose to go do something else, which I don't regret it, right? I don't regret a single decision that I made because it put me in this chair today, right? It also set me up for the position that I'm in today. Like my credibility came from the mistakes that I made.
When you went from I'm living with my family to I can't poison the well anymore, I have to cut everyone off. Was that a decision where it was an attempt at sobriety or no, I'm going to continue down this warpath.
Yes.
I'm just not going to involve them anymore.
Yes.
Okay. So this is probably like 2013-ish.
2012. So this happened pretty quick, right?
A lot happened in 2012.
Yeah.
Whew.
Wait. So you're right. I get out August 20th of 2012. So yeah, this is 2013. Probably around February, April. It was right around my birthday, right? So
happy birthday.
Well, yeah. That birthday was well, anyway. I made this decision to just continue down this warpath.
Okay.
Right?
Take us through the warpath.
Yeah. So I would say it came off the rails pretty quickly, but it was never on the rails. Like it was just chaos. So of course, who do you think I call? Is my uncle, right? And he's like living at a trap house in Southeast San Diego, and like he's trying to like balance this life between he's got 3 young daughters, right? He's trying to like balance this life of just debauchery and like total chaos with like trying to be a dad. And so I'm like living with him in his truck, and we're like showering at parks, and I'm like, fuck it, dude. I'm smoking meth and slamming heroin. Like, what more could I want at this point, right? And this is still like a very fresh decision where I'm like really trying to figure out, like, is this really what I'm going to do, right? That kind of leads to this situation that I ended up in with this very much older, but so I'm like 22, she was 43, right? And I'm like living at her house. I met her at a trap house, and we kind of like hit it off. Not really even hit it off. We're doing drugs together, right? So I found out that she like her roommate is deployed. She has this like house by herself, and she's kind of crazy. I'm like, okay, like I could try to work this, right? I end up in this relationship with this lady who found out that I was like in elementary school with her son. And I mean, it's just I'm selling drugs now, and it's one of the weirdest times of my life, to say the least. This is when I started doing meth, right? And it's just a lot of things that I'd never really been exposed to as far as like the meth world, which is vastly different than the heroin world. Like very different set of people and problems and
tweakers,
dude. It's just like very, very different world. And what was your drug of choice?
I was an opiate guy.
Okay. So, like there are things that opiate users do that kind of all of us do, right? Even though like you're doing heroin and you're doing oxys and you're doing this, like we all kind of do the same thing. Well, it's the same with like crack and meth and PCP. Like we all do the same thing. This drug like gears your mind for certain behavior patterns, right? Well, all these meth behavior patterns to me are like fucking off the wall, right? Just between like the sexual deviancy and the kleptomania and then just like taking random shit apart and trying to put it back together. Everybody's doing the same shit. But so I'm doing heroin with it. So I'm kind of like more level-headed,
You were a level-headed tweaker because you threw heroin in there. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I turned her house into a trap house, right? And now I am, and this is where I and mind you, like, I'm a 22-year-old man, well, boy in a man's body, right? And this is where I like hook up with the gang that I end up being a part of, right? And there's all these Asian bloods, and I'm buying drugs from them, and it's dude, it's so much chaos, dude. Like the my dealer, he's like a 5 foot. I'm a short guy, right? I'm bigger than him, and I'm doing drugs, and I'm still bigger than him. And he's just like this. His name was Lucky. That's what we called him, right? He is the most violent person I think I've ever met, dude. And he is beating the fuck out of his girlfriend in my house, in front of my house, like just like. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why the fuck doesn't she leave him, right? And so one thing leads to another. He has like all of his clique like at my house, and he's beating the fuck out of his girlfriend in front of all of us, and we're just like, in my head, I'm like, what is going on? And they're playing dice and smoking meth. And they're like over here huddling, and I'm over here like my heart, it feels like it's gonna explode out of my chest, right? And eventually I just say, dude, like, are you gonna play dice or and I'm saying this to him, and he just looks at me and like stops hitting her. And I'm like, that's like the weird in my head, I'm going, this is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever been a part of, dude. And this is after like all the shit that's gone on with my ex-wife at this point, and like it was that extreme. And the guy that I'm sitting next to, I'll never forget it. Like he looks at me and we make eye contact and he goes back to do what he's doing. And later that night is like when they approached me about like being a part of them, right? And mind you, like we're selling a lot of meth. Like there is pounds of meth at any given time in this house now, right? And like at the time, looking back on it, we all knew that we were going to get busted. Like that was just the way that it was, but none of us really realized like how bad it was going to be like when we got busted. And so like Lucky would call me and he'd be like, "Hey, look out your window." And he would drive by and then two undercovers would drive behind him. And he'd be like, "Are those cops?" Like, "Yep, those are definitely cops," right? And like weird clicking on our phones and we're all just dude, we're like there's guns, meth, pipes, and gang members in cars just going around all over San Diego being reckless, right? And we're all doing drugs in the cars that we're selling drugs out of. And eventually, one thing leads to another. I'm giving my uncle ounces of meth, right? And telling him, get everybody that you know hooked and have them call me, right? And he calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, this dude needs X amount, right?" I'm like, "Okay, it's this much. I'll be there." Sell it to him. He calls me like 3 days later. "Hey, they need the same thing." Sell it to him. And then he calls me like a week later and says, "Hey, they want a pound." Right? And so I go, I park in the same spot, and an F-150 pulls behind me and a Mustang, right? And in my head, I'm going, "Oh shit." Like I've got a pound of meth on the front seat, 100 grams individually bagged, and everything else. And it's just sitting on the front seat. And I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm getting robbed." Right? And it's white boys, bald heads, cut off like cut dickies with chucks and wife beaters. This is who's jumping out of the cars with ARs. And in my like everything's happening so fast, all I can think is that I'm getting robbed. And he taps on the window with a badge. And I'm like, "Oh fuck." Right? And I like look down. I mean, it's all like right there, right? And they were cops. My uncle set me up with cops. He got caught with drugs. And instead of him going to jail for that little he would have been out. He tells him like, "Hey, I know a guy." And he set me up. So now I'm on my way back to prison, right? This is my second prison term. I'm 23, heading back to prison. And this is where the change started, right? Like this prison term changed something in my head. First of all, it was a different experience, right? I wasn't just I wasn't some little kid anymore, right? Like there was like, and then I was in a different prison environment. It was much more serious, and I saw things and had to do things that I just didn't want to do, right? Like, yeah, gang member at the time and like done this stuff and whatever. But the truth of the matter is, like, dude, I am not that person. Like, I'm not a gang member at heart. I'm not a violent person at heart. Like, I'm not some Scarface drug dealer that doesn't give a fuck, dude. Like, and all of it kind of like came into focus, right? It was like, I'm and really what happened was I watched somebody beat somebody basically to death, right? And I watched the cops come and arrest him, and I watched everybody applaud him on the way out. And I was like, I'm going to end up doing this for the rest of my life. And it crystallized in that moment. I was like, I've got to do something different, right? So I spent like the next basically 3 years. That happened very quick in that prison term. I spent the next 3 years um, in a cell with a guy who was facing 48 years to life, right? On prison murder, right? He was already doing 30 something years.
Mhm.
And now he's facing this charge. And he's basically telling me, like, dude, like, you need to do something different with your life. And I spent basically 28 months. I spent 28 months in that dude's cell. And he would just talk to me and we would talk to each other. And he would help me kind of like work through some of my issues. He was like my first real therapist, really, right? Like, and just talked about like the neglect and then the environment. And at this point, I still hadn't told anybody that I've been sexually abused. But he helped me like kind of get he's an older blood from LA, right? And he'd basically been there and done that. And now he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And he was like, you have an opportunity to do something different. You should do that, right? Like there you have no good reason to be here, first of all. Like you have a good family, you have people that love you, and this really isn't you, right? Like you can wear any mask that you want, right? Anybody can wear any mask they want wherever they're at. But you got to take it off sometime, right? And in that cell was basically where I started to remove this facade of like hazmat, right? Like that's who I became. I became hazmat, right? And I started to really peel that back. And so I made these decisions like, okay, I'm never going back to prison. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. And I remember like the day that I was released, like that was one of the most emotional separations from a person that I could have to this day that I've ever had. Right. And I'm talking about I've left my family behind.
Mhm.
Right. Like I left my kid behind. I divorced like this was the most emotional farewell that I ever had, like to this day, because I know you are sending me out into this is the way that I looked at it was David is sending me out into the world to do what he couldn't, right? And if I fail, he failed, right? And it's like now I'm like living this legacy of like trying to change, right? So um yeah, dude, I get out and guess what the first thing I do is?
Not go to a meeting.
I pick up a quarter pound of meth.
Okay.
This is the first thing that I do. I didn't know what else to do.
You had no defense.
I mean, I really didn't know what else to do. And the reality was that was my only option. At that point, it was really my only option.
Had you not used those 28 months in prison?
No, we were still getting high.
He was getting high with you?
Yeah, he was getting high with me.
But he was slowly penetrating you in terms of like
mindset.
Yep. Okay.
Mindset.
So the seed was planted.
Yes.
Here you are. You pick up meth right when you get out.
And also, his gang and my gang were under the same umbrella, right? Like, so Asians and blacks in California, they ride together.
Mm-hmm.
He was a blood from LA. I was from where I was from. And he like saw like this is what I think happened is he saw potential, but he also saw potential for me to just be fucked up. And he like brought me into a cell and was like, I'm gonna help you, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And the problem was he had no options on the streets either. And so when, the month before I was released, we're like, well, what am I gonna do now? And this was the plan. The plan was I was going to pick up a quarter pound of meth and start selling drugs immediately. But it was to work towards something. The problem was I started using immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the plan fell apart and I reach out. Like I make a Facebook post, right? And I have like no friends on Facebook. I start like adding all my friends and I just make this post like, I need help. Like, I need to get out of San Diego as soon as possible. And a dude hits me up and he's like, hey, if you're clean, I can get you into this program. It's 6 months and we'll come and get you. And I was like, well, I'm not clean. He was like, are you willing to get clean? Yeah. He was like, okay, whatever you've got. He's like, I'll be there in 2 hours. Whatever you have on you, get rid of it. I'm like, okay. Well, I'm smoking inside. This is like 3 weeks after I get released, right?
Mhm.
So I'm at this house. It's a trap house in San Marcos. And dude, that 3 weeks was wild too, right? But we can get stuck in there. So I'm going to skip over it. But
Mhm.
this house was so out of control. We had set up cameras and we would every hour watch cops drive by, right? They were just waiting for a reason to come in, right? It got to the point where we thought the cops were coming. Like we were all so spun out and stuff. Like we thought the cops were coming and everybody was jumping out of the windows. And like I ran down this canyon, fell, ate shit. Like, dude, it was a mess. He's like, whatever you got on you, get rid of it. And I'm coming to get you. So I didn't have to go far to get rid of it. I just gave it to people. I asked for a bunch of Xanax and weed. And now I'm just trying to get as blacked out as possible so that I can go kick, right?
Mhm.
So I know I'm about to go kick heroin and meth and now Xanax and like it was going to be a mess, right? So I get to the dude's house. He puts me on his couch for like 4 or 5 days. I get clean. I take a test. I'm clean, right? Obviously, like weed and Xanax takes a little bit longer. So
Mhm.
he's like, the program said, we're gonna test your levels as long as it's constantly dropping. Like you just can't be on meth or heroin when you get here. Like, okay, fair. I go to this program and I ended up staying there for 7 months. Okay, so this was the longest I had ever been clean in my entire life from 13 on, right? 7 months. Um, but the reality of situations like that, at least in my opinion, is that do you know who William White is?
No, I don't.
William White was the director of the Recovery Research Institute. He started peer support. Um, he's written a ton of books on ethics for addiction professionals. Actually, I have one of his books in my backpack, but books on recovery, books on the history of addiction in America. He's given hundreds of hours of lectures.
Mhm.
Um, I would say he's probably the premier historian on addiction in America, right? I would also say that he's probably one of the most knowledgeable people of like the condition of addiction. He's actually in bad health right now. He's going through chemo. But I'm hoping to have him on the podcast when he's done with treatment and he's
Mhm.
ready, because that will be a piece of recovery history that a lot of people unfortunately don't understand is there, right? But I want to be able to document like him
Mhm.
kind of on his way out, right?
So you're in this place,
Yeah.
and you said the difference here was what did you not do during that?
So look,
Yeah, go ahead.
William White said that recovery happens in communities, treatment happens in facilities,
Mhm.
right? So I I was in a facility, so I was getting treatment, okay? But I wasn't really getting recovery, right? Recovery happens at the door of treatment. That's when you start your recovery. So like at my treatment centers, you don't start your recovery until you leave, right? You start your sobriety clock, but you don't start your recovery clock. And I think that's an important distinction. The difference was this was a work program, right? So you had to work. In order to stay there, it was free, but in order to stay there, you had to work.
Mhm.
And I never knew that I loved to work, right? So I loved it there. But then on top of that too, it was like, what am I gonna do? Like I had this nagging thought in my head, like, what am I gonna do after I leave here? What am I gonna do? And so Chris, the guy who brought me up there, he actually worked at the program, right? He was the transportation supervisor for this program regionally. And so he was like, if you graduate the program, I'll help you. But even still, it's like, okay, but what am I going to do? Like, how long can you've got 5 daughters, right? Like, you're not rich. Like, you work hard and you're a good man and like you've got 5 years of recovery and like I respect you, but I'm not your kid and I'm not a kid. So really, like, what am I gonna do? And that was just like this nagging thought that I kept having. And so while I was there, I discovered that I love to work. Um, I then leave there. Chris puts me in a sober living, and I do good for 68 days. I didn't use for 68 days, right? But I loved to work. And so now I started down this path of like working. But now I'm on this path of working and using, and I'm batching concrete. So I'm mixing concrete. That's what I get a job where one of my friends that I met in the program, he graduated 3 months before me, and now he's mixing concrete for a specialty brick company, right? And he's like, "Dude, come work with us," and blah blah blah. So that's what I do, right? I go work with him, and I'm working at this concrete plant, and he's clean, I'm not, right? We end up moving on site at the plant. Now we're opening the plant, and now he figures out that I'm using. Now we're both using, right? And we've got like massive responsibilities to this plant. We've got to turn on all the machine. We're up at 2 in the morning, turning on all the machines, right? People start coming in at 3:30, and him and I are while I was there. So they got to bake these bricks, right? While I was there, somebody got trapped in the oven and was baked alive in the oven.
Holy shit.
They found a body like in the oven. But anyway, now we're using and we spend 8 to 10 hours a day in front of these giant mixers, and we're rigging these mixers so that we can have them open while it's mixing.
Mhm.
And we've thrown hammers in there and it mangles hammers, dude. So we're standing in front and there's cameras. And so we're standing in front of these open mixers, and the office calls us one day, "Hey, we need you to come to the office." Okay. So I go to the office and they drug test me, and they show me a video of me. I'm passed out standing up in front of an open mixer. And they were like, "We got to test you." I was like, "Okay." So I'm dirty for heroin. And they're like, "Dude, you got to go." I'm living here. I'm living at the plant and I'm working here. So again, now I'm like, what am I going to do? Right. So now I'm like, okay, now I've got to admit to Chris that I relapsed, and like it's this whole thing. And man, what this ends up turning into, I mean, this could be just hours of conversation,
Mhm.
this whole next little episode. So I'll just kind of give you the bullet points.
Yeah.
I go back to Chris's house. I get clean. Chris relapses maybe a couple months later. And he quits working for that program, and we end up working for this executive at a Google, at a Amazon cluster, right? Well, he is scamming Amazon, right? Like all of the inventory that they're supposed to be. First of all, there's like this weird thing where like these Amazon clusters throw away tons of inventory. And we're talking about like pallets of TVs,
Mhm.
pallets of Xboxes, and the landfills are getting filled with this stuff. And in his head, he's like, there's got to be something different that I could do. He starts a 501c3 and starts donating it all to himself. And now he's selling it online. And he's got he's got one warehouse that's just full of sex toys, right? He's got he's got a couple warehouses. Another one is like a quarter full of these Pepsi crystals, right? Because they made them as a promo for Back to the Future. And there was only one day that they were actually good because they put the expiration date that was on the label from the movie. And then they realized, oh shit, we can't sell this for people to drink because it was only good for one day.
Mhm.
So he's got a quarter of this warehouse just full of these Pepsi crystals. He's got like millions of light bulbs. Like, dude, he's just selling all this stuff online. And dude, that turned into a mess, right? Like he's telling us we're gonna get stipends and cars and houses. And I
Mhm.
mean, dude, this dude's making a shitload of money. And so one thing leads to another. We pretty quickly, I mean, not even quickly, dude, it was months. We realized that he is like dicking us around. Um, and we confront him in a very unsavory way,
Mm.
to put it lightly, right? Like, um,
Threaten him.
Yeah, we threatened him, right?
Mm-hmm.
We walk out of the building that day with checks, and he gave us two 26-foot box trucks to like not have to deal with the situation that he was in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we made a deal. Like, you're going to continue to pay us, and we're getting these trucks, and we'll never come back to another warehouse. Like, we will separate ways now. But if you stop paying us, like, it's all bad. And so yeah, I start like this moving company, and we're just doing drugs, dude. And like, he's got young daughters, right? And that very quickly devolved into we're making credit cards, like we're buying credit card numbers offline, and now I'm stuck in a garage, um, making actual like hard cards, like all day, smoking meth, sliming heroin, and pressing credit cards all day. And he's a gang member in San Bernardino, so he's got like all these runners, like I mean, and again, it was my paranoia, right? Of like what we were doing was so extreme. I knew it was just a matter of time before I end up getting fucked over, right? So one morning, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going back to San Diego. And I literally left. I just left everything and went back to San Diego. And I called my grandpa for like the first time in a decade. And he recently passed away. He was one of like the heroes in my life, right? But called him. He let me come sleep on his couch. And so immediately I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get clean. And by clean, I mean I'm gonna stop smoking meth, right? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna quit doing heroin. So I find this job, and it's a cash pay job, and I fucking loved it, right? I was making $120 a day. I can support my habit. I'm good. And so that's what I do. I ended up doing that for months. And then got back in touch with my people, right? And now this is where shit spins off the rails again, right? Is like
What year are we in?
this was 2016.
Okay. All right. Take us through when things spin off the wheel, and let's go into 2020, the bank robbery.
Yeah, this leads into it.
Okay.
Yeah, this leads into
Let's
it.
go into that. Yeah.
Okay, so I very quickly start committing crimes again. But I meet a girl, right? It's always the start of like the worst parts of the story is I meet a girl. But I meet a girl, and I move in with her the same day that I meet her. And now shit gets really crazy because she just got out of treatment, and she was a prostitute, right? And she's like telling me these stories, and she goes, yeah, and this doctor and this dentist and this lawyer and like these people, I'm not sleeping with them anymore, but they're just still paying for everything. And I was like, wait, what? She was like, yeah, they just like they bought my car, this guy got my house, like this guy pays for this or that. And I'm like, dude, we can extort these people. And she's like, what? I'm like, you never have to sleep with another person again. Like, we can force them to give us money. And it turned into, I mean, just years of us doing drugs and just working these people, dude. Got to the point where like they started like moving. So this one dude moved to LA and ends up getting busted. Okay, this is what he was a anesthesiologist. And his thing was he would bring these prostitutes dressed up as nurses to the hospital. He would put them under and then rape them, right? And when I found this out, I was like, "Oh, dude, he's for sure he's paying us, right?" So it got so bad, like, and mind you, like, I know where he lives, right? And I'm telling him, like, if you don't pay us, I'm going to your wife. Like, I'm telling everybody, I'm going to the hospital, I'm going to the news, I'm telling your wife, your kids are gonna know. And so he's just like breaking it off, right? And keep in mind, like, when we finally got to him, I had the dentist that we were working actually do the talking. So we get in the dude's car. He's supposed to be meeting her. This is what he thinks going on. He's supposed to be meeting her. I get in the car and he gets in the car. We block him in, and I make this dude talk. I give him this whole script. This is what you're going to say. This is when you're going to punch him. This is what you're going to say. I'm just going to stand here with the weapon and I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to look forward and point this thing at him. And when you're done, I'm going to get out. Then you're going to get out and we're going to leave. Right. And that's how like that whole ball started rolling with that. But I had the dentist extort him. Right. So he moves to LA. Like it got so bad for him. He moved to LA, did the same thing, and now he's doing life in prison because he got caught doing it. 17 charges of it. Right? So this girl and I, dude, it was just years of debauchery, dude. I ended up getting us kicked out of like 14 different places. And I convinced her, like, let's just be homeless. Right? Like all of my friends are homeless, right? Like we're selling drugs downtown. We'll go home and then wake up in the morning, go back downtown and hang out with homeless people. And so she's got friends now. I've got friends that are down there. And so we're like, okay, let's just be homeless. Right. And so this is probably 2018. Okay. 2018 starts the homeless arc. And I'm hard pressed to tell people this because I don't want to glorify this in any way, but being homeless was one of the funnest experiences of my life, right? Like it was just, I don't know how to explain it to people that have never experienced it other than there was like true freedom, right? I wasn't tied to society in any way. I was a derelict, so they ignored me anyway, right? And as long as I like didn't beat people up or like have guns on the street or something, like the cops aren't going to mess with you. In California, like it's basically incentivized to be homeless and a drug addict, right? So they just don't care. And so we had this level of freedom that I've never experienced anywhere else. And it's like an artificial freedom because the freedom that I feel today is just different than the freedom that I experienced doing that, right? So I don't want people to think that like I'm saying that this was like the best part of my life, but it was one of the freest experiences that I had. Anyway, we're homeless, everything that comes with that, right? And 2020 happens, right? And what happened in 2020? Pandemic happens. Okay. Well, everybody thinks that the homeless people are going to be like ground zero for COVID. I don't know a single homeless person that got COVID. None of us, right? And we had the city to ourselves. The cops weren't messing with us. And so, dude, it turns into this thing where I'm getting arrested. Like the cops aren't on the streets patrolling like they normally are, but I'm still like committing crime, right? Like we're bringing drugs across the border. The girl gets caught at the border with a bunch of my drugs, like a 1/4 pound of heroin at the border. And I mean, we're just running amok, dude. Residential burglaries, drug sales. I get caught selling drugs to the cops again, weapons charges. Like it's a mess. But I'm getting arrested and released because I don't know why I did this the first time, but I got to the jail on one of these arrests and I tell the jail, like I swallowed drugs and they send me to the hospital. Well, guess who's at the hospital during COVID?
COVID patients.
COVID patients. Guess where the cops aren't going?
Where the COVID
They're
patients
not going
are.
into the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? So they would drop me off at the front of the hospital and say, you've got a warrant. We'll catch you next time. And I'm like, oh shit, I found the cheat code. Right? Like, so now every time I get arrested, I'm getting arrested at least once a month, sometimes every other week for just off the wall shit. Drug sales, weapons, residential burglaries, vandalism, like, and I rack up like all these charges. And so that happens, that starts in March, right? December of 2020 is where you want to go, right? This is 3 days after Christmas. I'll get there, right? But Thanksgiving Day, she finds out that she's pregnant. She tells me the next day, hey, I'm pregnant, but I'm leaving you. Dude, you are dangerous. Like you're robbing our connects, the people that we're bringing drugs across with. And that money is supposed to go to the cartel. Like you're stealing from people that are going to kill you. And they're probably going to kill me. So I've got to separate myself from you. And I'm like, I can't believe you would do this to me. Like, I can't believe at my greatest time in need that you're just gonna dip on me like this, right? And it's like this whole victim thing. And so now I'm like alone in the streets, like not really with any direction. Mind you, like I'm robbing I'm on so much Xanax, right? That people will tell me like, hey, so and so is looking for you. Like, why? Oh, you stole like $4,000 from him. Like, what? When? Like, there's no fucking way. Call him. Like, dude, you're a dead man, blah, 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 blah. Hang up. And I'm like, fuck, well, I can't go over there. And then like maybe even in the same day, somebody will be like, hey, so and so is looking for you. Like, dude, why? Like, oh, dude, you stole his fucking bike, or like you stole this, or you stole money, or you stole drugs. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, okay. Like maybe she had like a legitimate reason to leave me, right? But now I'm like, well, fuck it. Now I'm really just gonna start robbing people. And now I'm just doing the most to get her attention. And it's not working. So I get this genius idea. I'm like, so I had a bunch of friends, like fellow gang members that were robbing banks, right? And they were getting away with it. So I'm like, my whole relationship with her, I'm telling her, like, I'm gonna rob a bank for sure. She's like, don't, that's a stupid, like, look at what we got going on with these doctors and shit. Like, you don't even need to do that. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I never do it. But now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna rob this bank at her because she keeps wanting me not to do it. Now this will get her attention. So the day after Christmas of 2020, I rob a bank, right? And I think I'm a genius, right? I'm like, okay, it's like 2 days before Christmas, I'm gonna go watch this bank, right? And I'm like, now thinking about it, now that I'm sober and shit, I'm like, the fuck, dude, it's a bank. People go in, they do what they need to do, and they come out. Like, also, they bring the money in through the back. Like, I'm not gonna get some like bank schedule down by like sitting in front of it and smoking meth all day. Like, what? Like, there was absolutely no logic in my thought process when it came to like what I was doing. And keep in mind, like, by this time, I'm a daily user of meth, heroin, fentanyl, PCP, Xanax, weed. Like, dude, I'm out of my fucking mind. Like, there is no thought process. It's a lack of thought, right? This is just like working off of emotions. And that was like the best thing that I could come up with at the time. So I cased the joint for a couple days. And then I like sit out there one day and I like trying to work up the courage to do it. So that's a wasted day. And then another day goes by. And so finally, I'm like, I'm either going to do this or I'm not. And by the time I actually made the decision to walk into this bank, like once I was actually doing it, there was like no anxiety. There was no fear. There was nothing. Like I just didn't feel anything. Could have been all the drugs, but I just didn't feel anything. And I walked in there, handled business, and walked. I was out of there in 20 seconds.
Well, how did you do it? You walk in there.
Yeah.
What was your method?
So all of my friends, they were strong armed robberies, so they had a weapon, but they would use a note, right? And they would just have the weapon there and not really brandish it or like anything, right? But my smart, like, on the note, I tell them. So I walk in, I cut the line, and I think I'm so smooth. Do you remember that Eminem song where he's robbing the good versus evil? Where he's robbing.
Just put the money in the bag. Put the money in the bag.
Yeah.
Yep.
He goes, I'm here to make a withdrawal, right? That's the first thing that he says. I walk up there and I slap the note, because it's COVID, they like put up all these like things. And I slap the note on the thing and I say, I'm here to make a withdrawal. And on the note, it says, I've got a bomb in my backpack and I'll kill everybody if you hit the alarm. And it's like a whole script, right? Like I knew exactly what to say to get them to give me the money with as little fuss as possible. And so I slapped the thing up there. And he's like, okay, just be calm. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking calm. Don't hit the alarm, right? And like having this like slight dialogue with him. And he like goes to open the drawer. I was like, nope. Read the note. And then I slide the note to him and he reads the note and he turns around and unlocks the cash drawer, right? Like it's called a fill drawer. And on the note, it says, I want the fill drawer, da, da, da. Because in the cash drawer, they got maybe a couple grand, but in the fill drawer, they've got more money, right? Because they know this happens. So they don't keep the cash drawer stocked. They keep it behind them. So he turns around and hands me two stacks of 50s, a stack of 20s, and a stack of ones. And he goes, we don't got any hundreds. And in my head, this has already been an eternity, right? And in my head, I'm like, I know he's going to hit the alarm or something. So I just grab it and I run out, right? So I run out and dude, like it went off without a hitch. I get away and I think like I'm so smart, right? There's a trolley that goes right next to it. I timed it so that by the time I'm running out, the trolley would be pulling up and I could hop on the trolley. And now I'm miles away. Like within 5 minutes, I'm 10 miles away, right? And I get off the trolley. I keep my mask on. Like I'm slick, right? Like I keep my mask on. I go under this bridge where I have a bunch of friends, and I take my mask off. And I didn't know this, but the FBI is really diligent when they do investigations. They watched every camera that they could possibly watch me on until I got under that bridge. And then the mall that's next to the bridge, they got the security cameras and they watched me take my mask off. So they had a picture of my face. Okay. But that's all they had. They didn't know who I was. They just had a picture of my face. And now I'm under this bridge and dude, I'm giving money to people. Like all of my friends, they got hotels, food, and drugs for the night, right? And I spend maybe 24 hours under that bridge just getting high and like having fun and like just relaxing, right? Like, and now I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I go to this person's house that I know and I devise this whole plan, right? She brings a pound of heroin out to Oklahoma every month. And so she's about to go. And I'm like, okay, like I can go out there, right? And through talking to her, she's like, oh, I got somebody that can make you documents. Like give you an identity. Like, okay, this thing's coming together. And in my head, I'm going, I'm never going to stop robbing banks. How can I do this, right? So I get this false identity. I go to Oklahoma and let things chill, right? I'll come back next month. I'll have this false identity. I can just cross the border and live in Mexico. Keep in mind, there's people in Mexico that want to kill me, right? So, again, this is just like my lack of logic at the time. I'm like, I'm just gonna move to Mexico and I'm gonna come across the border and I'm gonna rob banks until I get caught, and then I'm just gonna shoot it out with the cops. Like this was my big plan, right? And so I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'm going out to Oklahoma. It's gonna be like 2 days before we leave. So I'm like, okay, um, take me to the weed shop so that I can buy a pound of weed for me to smoke while I'm out there. So she's like, okay. We're in her car and she turns left out of her parking lot and she was supposed to turn right. And I go, hey, you went the wrong way. So she flips a U-turn. Well, it was an illegal U-turn. And guess who's behind us?
Cop.
The cops pull us over for this illegal U-turn. Right. And in my head, I'm like, you know how many times I've told them this name, this like false name? So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna tell this cop this name and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, RoboCop hops out, right? And I mean, this dude is like G.I. Joe, right? And this dude is not fucking around. And very quickly he realizes like there's something wrong with me, not with everybody else. Like everybody else is gone now. Like gets the ticket, this person gets a ticket, you know what I mean? Like, but dude, this cop knows that there's something off with me. And I'm giving him this false name and trying to do the smoke and mirrors thing. A couple hours goes by. And finally, dude, he's like, I know this isn't your name. I'll just get the dudes out here that run the fingerprints, right? And I'm like, fuck, this is gonna come crashing down. So I tell him, like, okay, this is my name, right? He's like, okay, like, dude, it wasn't that bad, right? Like, why are you lying to me? And then he runs my name. I've got all these warrants for these arrests. And he was like, oh, okay, this makes more sense. You're on the run, like blah, blah, blah. So now we're heading to the jail. And he tells me, he goes, hey, look, I know you think this little thing that you do works with the jails, but it's not gonna work with me. It's like, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, you're not just gonna tell them that you swallowed drugs and think that I'm just gonna let you go. That's not gonna happen. And I'm like, okay, we'll see. Right? So I get there, tell him I swallowed drugs. And they tell him, you got to take him to the hospital. And he's like, all right, take me to the hospital. The problem is that if I make this claim and whether they find it or not, right? Like they have to sign this piece of paper clearing me or not clearing me. And if they don't find it, they can't clear you, right? So they sign it. They don't sign this paper saying that they cleared me, right? They send me back to the jail, and he's like, "You're not gonna do not tell them, right, that you swallowed drugs." I was like, "Okay." Get there. Pre-screening is basically outside of the jail. I immediately tell him I swallowed drugs, and like, you got to take him back. And now this cop is like irate, right? And he's like, he's threatening me and like all this shit, right? And we get there to the hospital, and it's probably been 6 hours that I've been with this dude already. And I'm like getting dope sick, and like it's turning into a whole thing. And I'm like, I wonder who's gonna last longer, me or him. I'm like, his shift's got to be almost over. So he sends me into the hospital. I come back out, and he goes, "Look, I talked to my watch commander. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to book you today." And in my head, I'm like, there's no way. I don't believe him. So we get back to the jail. Same thing. Got to go back to the hospital. And by the time I come out, he's still there, and I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, this cop's gonna arrest." I'm getting booked today. So finally, I'm like, "Okay, you know what? I'll just bail out." Right? And I got like a couple $1,000 on me. I was like, "I'll just bail out." And so I get to the jail. I go through processing. It's probably 14 hours later. I get to a cell, and it's COVID. So everybody's just locked down. So I'm in my cell waiting. I'm dope sick, and I pass out. And I wake up 2 days later, right? And I can remember, like, them bringing food and, like, a couple other things, but dude, I am knocked the fuck out. I probably haven't slept in days by the time I got there. I was kicking, I was on so much Xanax and, like, smoking PCP. My body, like, once I stopped putting drugs into it, it just shut down, and I passed out for, like, 2 days. And I wake up and I go, like, "Fuck, what day is it?" You know, like, "What is going on?" And I start hitting the button like, "Hey, I need to make a phone call." And they're like, "You'll get your day room time." They're doing like 15-minute day room times for people to shower, and that's it. And they're going like cell by cell every hour, because every time they release a cell, somebody's got to, and they lock you back down, somebody's got to come in and wipe the whole module down, and then they release the next person. So like you come out at like 2 in the morning. I'm like, "Oh fuck." So now I'm like, I got to stay awake. Like I've got to stay awake. And so I stay awake and I get to the phone and I call the girl, right? I'm like, "Dude, you got to bail me out." She's like, "Fuck you," and hangs up. And I'm like, "Oh, fuck." So now I'm calling. I don't really have time to call bail bonds, right? Like, so I call, like, maybe get one phone call in before hey, lock it up. I'm like, "Fuck, how am I going to do this?" Like, nobody's on the outside trying to bail me out. How am I going to do this? And I know it's just a matter of time, like, before the feds come and book me, right? Like, my whole thing is I just got to get out before the feds realize that I'm here, right? And I'm like, how am I going to do this? Like, with the time constraints that I have and the amount of time I've already been here, like, it's just a matter of time. I go to sleep. The next morning, they wake me up. "Handy, you got medical." And in my head, I'm like, okay, whatever, right? Like, and I've been in this jail so many times. Like, I get into the elevator and I start going up instead of down. I'm like, "What floor am I on?" And I look at the thing, I'm like, 6, 7, 8. I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm going up." Um, what is going on, right? And I get out of the elevator and a cop intercepts me, and I've never been in this part of the jail before. It looks like offices. Like, what is oh fuck. It dawns on me like, "Oh shit, these are interview rooms." Right? I'm like, "Fuck, dude, hopefully it's not the feds. Hopefully it's for something else that I did." So they put me in the interview room. And, have you ever been arrested?
I have.
Okay. Have you ever, like, been interrogated?
No.
Okay. So what they normally do is they'll, like, put you in a room for hours by yourself before they come in and talk to you, right? So I'm like, "Okay, like, I'm gonna be here for a while." Probably 10 minutes goes by, and the door flings open, and all these people in suits so they file around the room like this, and 2 people sit at the desk in front of me, and it's just a room full of suits now, and there's, like, 1 deputy. And in my head, I'm going, "Oh, it's over, right? It's over." And it's a guy and a young lady, like she's really young, and this like salt and pepper, seasoned FBI agent, right?
Mhm.
He's like, "I'm Agent so and so. This is Agent so and so. I'm from Major Crimes. She's from the Anti-Terrorism Task Force." And I'm like, "Terrorism Task Force? What the fuck is going on?" And he flips open the thing and he's like, "Do you know who this is?" And it's a picture of me. I'm like, "Nope." He's like, "What about this?" It's me. "Nope." "What about this?" "What?" "Nope." And he's like, "Mr. Handy, are we really gonna play this game?" And something in my head, like I did like really fast calculations and said like, this can either get like really bad for me or this can go like okay. And I'm listening to him talking. He's all, the feds don't even want the case, right? Like we don't even want to prosecute the bank robbery. We just want to know where the bomb is. I'm like, bomb? Oh, like, and it very quickly snaps into place. Like, oh, she thinks I have like a bomb somewhere, and this is major crimes. They don't even care. Like, so now like all these people make sense, right? And I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, it was me, and there was no bomb. And he's like, look, and in my head, I'm like, if the feds don't want the bank robbery and they're here for something that wasn't real, like I can probably get the state to prosecute this and I'll get way less time. So I did all those calculations like pretty quickly in my head. And I'm like, okay, yes, it was me. No, I didn't have a bomb. I said that the bomb was in my backpack. I didn't even have a backpack on. And they were like, okay. And the whole time he's like, look, we don't even give a fuck. Like, we're not even going to take the money that we know you stole from the bank that's on your books.
How much was it, by the way?
By that time, I had like $2,000 left.
How much did you get away with?
$8,600.
86. Ooh.
$8,600.
Measly $8,600 for all
Yes.
that. Okay, so go ahead. So
Yes.
then, what does he say?
So we finish the interview. It's maybe 45 minutes. It's a fairly short interview, especially, I mean, it's a fairly short interview, right? By the time the feds are talking to you, they have the whole investigation done. They already know what happened. The only variable that they didn't understand was whether I had a bomb or not, right? So pretty quick, they get the formalities out of the way. They get like their due diligence done. And I feel good, right? Like, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go to the feds for this, right? Like, because that was my whole fear. Because you go to the feds, you're doing basically the whole sentence. And so now I'm like, okay, I can get this. I can get this state time. Like, I'm okay. Well, because of COVID, like due process was different, right? Like typically you go to arraignment within 3 days. I didn't go to arraignment for weeks. And because it was a felony, you can't get a deal at your arraignment. You've got to wait till your pretrial, right? So, dude, it's like 6 weeks before I get my first deal. And my attorney tells me, like, when I go meet with him to get the offer, he's all, so I got a really good deal for you. It's like, okay. He's like, it's 33 years. And I'm like, 33 years? He's like, yeah, it's a really good deal. I think we can get it down a little bit more, but you're gonna take 2 strikes. And and in my head, I'm like, holy shit. Like what? And then I start doing the calculations like, okay, bank robbery, weapons charges, drug sales, residential burglaries, like a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, oh, you know what? They're trying to strike me out. Like, okay, 33 is actually a good deal, right? Like, and in my head, I'm going, wait, 33 is a good deal. And he's telling me like, yeah, max exposure is 85 to life. Like if you go to trial, you're going to go up for the rest of your life. And they got you red-handed on all this stuff. You sold the drugs to the cops. They found the weapon on you. You robbed this bank. You already admitted to it. The residential burglary, the guy gave them the video of you. Like they've got you. And so now I'm like, okay, 33. And in my head, at first, when I heard 33 was like a good deal, I was like, this fucking public defender's trying to wash me up. Right. And so now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Well, my first prison term, I met a dude who had beat 2 gang-related murders by going to this program. And mind you, like, by the time I meet him, he's back in prison for a murder. And so this guy got an opportunity to not go to prison for life and then immediately killed somebody and went to prison for life, right? But I think that everything happens for a reason, right? And whether that dude went to this program so that he could tell me about this program or not is up to interpretation. But in my head, he went to that program so that he could have this conversation with me, so that I would know about this program, so that when all of this hit the fan, I could write to this program and get accepted into this program. And this is like, in my head, I'm going, oh my God, like it's gotta be, that has to be what happened, right? And mind you, like at this same time, I'm an atheist. first of all, like, I think I'm like, I go through this like time period of my life where like I think that I'm a Satanist and a Luciferian and like all this stuff because I was raised extremely Christian. And so when I rebelled against everything, I rebelled against everything.
Mhm.
And so now it was like I was on the complete opposite of the spectrum and like it evolved into like me maturing a little bit. Now I'm just an atheist. Like I don't know. There is no God. Like that's where I'm at with it, right? There is no God. But then all these little things start clicking, right? Like, oh my God, like that had to have been why he went, is so that in this moment I would know to write this program, right? So there's little things that happen. Also, because it was COVID, it was single cell for a long time. And then I finally got a cellie like after, I think it was like 4 months into this. So I'm isolated for 4 months. And dude, I'd done enough time, read enough books, and read enough like self help books and things like this to kind of realize like, I'm either going to change everything in this moment or nothing's going to change. And I shouldn't even write that program and I should just go do my time. And so I turned the isolation into solitude and really started the mental work, right? Like there had already been a couple foundational pieces that were put in place by David and some other people, Chris, some other people in my life that I was like, I could really build this foundation mentally to be able to like in practice bring it forward and like become a different person. Um, so I turn that isolation into solitude and I start the mental work and I start noticing like things are starting to click into place, right? Um, keep in mind, I had just found out that she was pregnant, right? And I get an email from my brother, right? They print out the emails. I wasn't like in front of a computer. They email the system prints it out, and they give you
Mhm,
that, right?
mhm.
And I get an email from my brother. He's like, "Hey, dude, I heard what happened." And I hadn't talked to this kid in over 10 years. I heard what happened. And he's in recovery, right? This is the kid that I got addicted to heroin. Hey, I heard what happened, dude. We also heard that she's pregnant. And I need you to reach out to me because if you're going to go to prison for the rest of your life, like we want to have that kid a part of the family.
Mm.
So I get back in touch with him. And that kind of starts me down the road of like reconciliation with my family. Obviously, it was hard fought and it took years, but that kind of started the ball rolling, right? And one thing kind of leads to another, and things start clicking. I get accepted into this program. The courts accept it, and now they give me a deal, right? And this is I get arrested December 28th of 2020. I go through this whole process, and I'm at the doorstep of that program on June 2nd of 2021. So 6 months.
You wrote them,
I
and they
write
accepted
them.
you. What happened with the court, though? They were like,
So
"Go ahead."
the court, I tell the court, this is before I ever even get accepted there. I tell my lawyer to tell the courts, I'm going to Delancey Street. And they're like, we need the acceptance letter. If you get the acceptance letter, we will talk about a deal. So, dude, I'm just at this point, just blindly believing this is going to happen. And I start making plans, right? And in order for them to accept you, they have to come and interview you in the jail.
Mhm.
Okay. So what I didn't know is because of COVID, they stopped allowing them to come into the jail. I was the first person that they interviewed after they were allowed to start coming back into the jails. So all these little things are like signaling to me, like, I'm getting into this program. And so I'm just telling my lawyer, yeah, I got accepted. I'll send you the letter once I get it, blah, blah, blah. Well, dude, I get accepted into the program and I get to bring this letter to my attorney. And now the funny thing is, this attorney that worked with me all the way up until this point, I get the letter and I get an attorney visit. It's a different attorney, right? And I'm like, fuck, like what's gonna happen now? She sits down and she goes, I've tried reaching out to this attorney on countless occasions by this point. She will not get back in touch with me. But so Chelsea Childs, if you ever see this, please reach out. But she goes, look, Matt, I see what's going on here. I'm caught up to speed. I know and have a good relationship with the prosecutor on your case. Give me something realistic to bring them, realistic, and I'll see if they'll go for it. And I was like, okay, with this letter in hand, keep in mind, like, this is the deal that I have like worked out in my head is I'll take a strike, suspend 2 strikes, right? No, I'll take 2 strikes. You suspend a strike, send me to Delancey Street for 2 years. That's the program. And suspend 10 years so that if I mess this up, I'm for sure going to do 10. But if I mess this up, you can strike me out and send me up for life. And she was like, okay, that makes sense, right? Like I'm gonna trade you my life for my life, right? Like I'm either gonna fix it or I'm fucked, right? She's like, okay, that sounds fair. She comes back like 20 minutes later. She goes, they only want one thing different. I'm like, okay, what is it? She was like, they want you in there for 3 years. They want you in this program for 3 years. So I'm like, where do I sign? Right? Like, so now we got to finish the rest of the court process and all that stuff. And at the sentencing, the judge tells me, he goes, Mr. Handy, I've been on the bench for 20 plus years and I've sent many people to this program. And I don't know many that have finished it. And he goes, I'm going to give you this opportunity to save your own life. But if you don't save it, I'm going to lock you up for the rest of your life. I'm like, yes, Your Honor. But in my head, I'm going, challenge accepted. Right? Needless to say, I get to this program. This is the most insane program. It's a therapeutic community that's been around since the 70s, and it's a behavioral modification program, all wrapped into one. Okay? So we're doing things like you shave your head the second you get there, and the second you get there till the second you level up, you cannot be by yourself. You can't walk down hallways by yourself. You can't leave certain doors by yourself. Like, and it's this whole training to get you to just follow directions, right? Also, it's a Synanon-based program. So do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Synanon is the original therapeutic community, and it was all built off of this thing called the game. So we're gaming, and this is where like you sit in a room for hours with people every day, and you just manipulate people. Like all the whole time, it's just manipulation, right? And you're trying to learn how to deal with just people, right? But it's crazy shit happens where it's like, if me and you hate each other, I'll get my friends to make shit up about you. And now we'll make it look like you did this thing that you didn't do. And now you're getting pulled out and interrogated. And like people are like seriously fucking with each other, right? But then you leave the room and everything gets left behind, right? Like in that room is the only place that we're all against each other. Everywhere else, like we are actually a team. But the ripple effect of the game bleeds into everything. And so there's like alliances. They call it contracting up, right? Like you'll be contracted up with people where it's like, I know your dirt, you know my dirt. We're also friends, so we're not going to do this. But if somebody catches me up, we're going to work against them. So it's like this whole world where there's this facade of camaraderie and then just very, very thinly veiled by this camaraderie, but just slightly under the surface, everybody's fucking backstabbing each other. And like, dude, there's drugs there and cell phones. And dude, it's a fucking mess. And there is no staff. We staff, the people who are in the program are the staff. So as you level up, you get more responsibilities. And it gets to the point where, well, first of all, the people who have been in that program the longest, they've been there for 40 plus years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. People are getting married, having kids, pets, like building their entire life in this program.
Wow. How long did you stay there for?
So this is what happened. I was supposed to be there for 3 years, right? But I remember distinctly looking at my paperwork when I signed it, and what it said was 3 years in a residential program. It did not say 3 years at that program. So in my head, I'm like, this place is so fucked up. I am going to take my chances at having to go do my prison time. Like, this is how bad it is. I know what I'm facing, but I'm like, I can't. First of all, everybody's doing drugs, right? So I'm trying my hardest not to do drugs. So I didn't do drugs while I was there, but everybody's doing fentanyl. And like, the problem is this plays drug tests randomly a couple times a week. While you're in a game, they'll call like 2 people out of the room. So I'm like, dude, how are these people? And all these people, they all got time over their head too, right? So it's either one of 2 things. You're either coming out of a life sentence and you get sent there for behavioral modification, or you're trying to get out of a life sentence or big sentences. And I'm like, how do all these people have so much writing on this, but none of them give a fuck? And I'm talking about like, I mean, it's insane. And I very quickly realized like, I'm either going to make it through this program by the skin of my teeth and struggle for 3 years, or I'm going to take my chances because of the way that it was worded at trying to go to a different program. And so I leave. First thing I do is call my probation officer. And I'm like, dude, I left. And I'm going to check in at the Compton probation, right? Like, because this is in LA. Compton probation, and sorry, Inglewood probation. And I mean, it's, you know where UFC is? I mean, USC.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the hood.
It's across the street from USC.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going there every month, and my probation officer isn't allowed to meet with me alone because they don't want people telling them like this place is fucking insane. So she's asking, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And if I say anything different, oh, dude, if I tried to say anything on the phone, they'll just hang up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I call my probation officer and I'm like, listen, I left, but I need you to look at the deal. I need you to look at the mandate and tell me if this is okay for me to go to a different program. If it's not okay, I will go back right now. So she looks at it. We're on the phone and she's like, no, you can go somewhere else, but where are you going to go for 3 years? But at this point, I got there June 2nd. This was January 14th.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 7 months in. So I was there for 7 months. And she's like, where are you going to go for 2.5 years? I was like, fuck, dude, I don't know. Like, I know that there's a couple other places in LA. I know there's a couple places in San Diego. So I just start calling people. And I'm like, this is what's on the table. This is what I got to do. And basically everybody's like, yeah, come in and talk to us, right? Well, I'm in LA with no car, right? And it's like, how am I going to get around this city? And so I call the girl, right? Also, I get there June 2nd. The baby's born the 4th of July. This place is so crazy. They were not going to tell me that the baby was born, right? The front desk person risked his program to tell me, hey, they got a call from somebody and I was listening on the other line and your baby was born. Right?
Congrats.
Well, yeah, right? Congrats, right? But
so she picks you up, this girl.
So she sends me money
to
come back to San Diego. But she's like, dude, I'm in a she got her life together at this. She's like, I'm in a program. I'm going to send you this money, but you can't even see the baby, right? Like, you need to go do whatever it is that you need to do. I'm like, okay. So I go do what I need to do, right? Like, she sends me back to LA to talk to a couple programs up there to see like which one is going to work with me, right? So I get back to LA and then I get a call like, hey, if you can be here in 2 days, you can come to this program in San Diego. So I'm like, yes. So I call her again. I'm like, hey, give me a train ticket. I'm coming back to San Diego. She picks me up from the train station and I meet my daughter for the first time. Right. So now, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to work out. Right. So that next 2.5 years, let's see. It's 2.5 years of stories, right? So how do I like do this with you? So
you go into another program.
I go into another program.
You graduate, you make it to 2.5 years.
Yes.
Okay. So you get your 3 years fulfilled.
Yeah. I fulfill my obligations to the courts.
Okay. So now we're probably in around 2023, 24-ish.
23.
Okay. 23.
Yeah.
Take us to the relapse.
Okay. So 23, I get out of the program. I marry her. So I marry the prostitute that this whole back end of the story starts with, right? She's also the mother of my child at this point, right?
But she's cleaned her life up.
She's cleaned her life up. And she's in contact with and has a good relationship with my family now. So she moves to Texas, right? And now I'm working. I finished the program. The last year of the program, I'm allowed to have a job. Also, keep in mind, by the time that year happened, everybody else is typically gone, right? It's a year program for most people. And they told me, I was like, I need to be there for 22 more months. They were like, we can work with you, but you're going to have to help us and you're going to have to do this. And they created this like situation where they really worked with me. And so I get a job and now I'm working. I'm a pipe layer for this company. I'm doing construction and I get the truck and I do this and everything's going good. And over these years, I've started to reconnect with my family, right? And she's definitely reconnected. Also, my parents have like 30 grandchildren. and I'm the oldest, right? And 2 of their kids just started having kids. And I mean, probably the majority of us aren't done having kids. So by the time they're done, who knows how many grandkids they're going to have. My parents built their whole life so that they could have their family around them. And so they wanted my daughter with the family. So they move her out there, and we're in the talks like, okay, your wife is out here, your kid is out here, you've been doing good for 3 years plus. Like, what are you going to do? Like, my dad's having this conversation with me, and I'm like, he's like, "Are you gonna stay out there? Like, do you wanna come out here?" And in my head, I'm, like, very reluctant to put myself in that situation. Like, I understand my family dynamics well enough to understand that, like, this could be really good or this could be really bad for me,
Mhm.
right? And so but I I visit, like, 3 times. They come and visit me. They all fly out to come to my wedding. And I'm like, the family that I left when I was 16
Mhm.
is significantly different than the family that it evolved into, right? Not just financially, but also like the the cohesiveness and like the family dynamic changed, right? We're no longer a struggling family of 7 that's grinding and like inviting people over hoping to find change in the couch. Like, they're doing really well. And every individual family member is doing really well. And the majority of them are married, and a lot of them have kids, and they have lives, and they're working, and like, and I'm like, okay, that is something that I want to be a part of. So I moved back to Texas. Or I moved to Texas back with my family. And uh I'm looking for a job, dude. Like, I am trying to at this point, I'm 33 years old. I have no marketable skill set. The only one that I had, they don't even do it in Texas, in Houston, because the water table's so high. They don't trench and lay pipe. They do directional drilling. The only marketable skill that I have, and they don't even do it out there. So I'm just, dude, applying. I try to start this roof cleaning business. And I'm just like struggling, right? And I start to get complacent, right? In a weird way. It's just like, I'm just like, you know what? Like, I just don't know what to do. Like, I just don't know what to do. And then I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just not gonna do anything for a while. And then I'm like, now I'm not doing anything, and I get this idea in my head, like, I've never actually used while I was doing good. Like, I just started using, and then it was just full force using until I got clean, right? I was like, maybe if I got some stability, I got 3.5 years of sobriety under my belt. Like, I'm doing pretty good. Maybe I can shoot heroin like a gentleman,
Ooh.
right?
I know the thoughts, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe I was overreacting.
Dude, maybe I was just out of control. Now I'm in control.
Maybe I was just a reckless kid the whole time,
Yes.
and this is going to be different.
Yes.
So go ahead.
And to be fair, it's logical. Like, it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Like, this actually makes enough sense for me to fucking try it. So I immediately start hunting for homeless people, right? Because every city that you go in, I don't want to disparage any fellowship, so I'm just going to say it like this. I know that any city I go into, I can find a homeless person or find a specific type of meeting, and I will find drugs, right? So I start looking for homeless people, and I find someone, and now I'm getting high, right? But now I'm getting high in my house, and now it's 2023, right? It's 2024. This is when I relapse, is April 2024. I'm like, you know what? Uh, the drugs are different. Like, I'm sitting on my couch. I'm like, the drugs suck. My experience sucks. Like, and now I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to do this. Right. So I had no rock bottom. Nothing bad happened.
What'd you use?
Heroin and fentanyl.
Oh, you went right
And
for
meth.
it. You went right for it.
And Xanax. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my
Heroin, meth,
gosh.
Xanax.
You said it was 11 days,
Smoking
right?
weed, 11 days.
11 days.
Yes.
The drugs stopped working.
They dude.
That's what happened.
So I'm sitting there, and it dawns on me, like, why am I so anxious? Why am I feeling anxiety? because I'm not normally like like an anxiety ridden person.
Mhm.
I don't experience anxiety, and then I find this out later. But I've always wondered why I didn't experience anxiety and depression the way that other drug addicts do.
Mhm.
And in my head, it was just like it's because I'm not fighting two sides of this battle right now. I know what I'm doing, and I'm not trying to like ride the fence. Like I'm out here doing what I need to do,
Mhm.
which is get high and ruin my life. I'm not trying to like play both sides of the fence with my family or I don't have this battle going on mentally. But now I'm like, I have this battle going on mentally. Like, I don't want to do this, but now I'm in full blown addiction mode again. And I'm like, if I have to choose between the life that I'd experienced in the last 3.5 years or the life that I'm experiencing right now, and it's just like all of these things started to crystallize again, right? And I'm like, I don't want to do this, right? And I just don't know how I'm going to stop at this point. I I hallucinate. Like I'm this high where I'm like hallucinating again. I think that somebody texts me and tells me that my sister is missing. My sister's 20 something years old. And so now I'm walking around my neighborhood yelling her name. She doesn't even live in my neighborhood,
Mm.
right? Like if she was missing, what makes me think that she's going to be walking around lost in my neighborhood, right? So my neighbors call the cops and the cops stop me, right? Gated community. The cops come up to me and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "My sister's missing and blah, 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 blah." And they're like, "Can you prove this to us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm like, wait, I must have deleted the text message. So I called my family and I'm like, "Hey, the cops are with me right now. Can you tell them that like Cheyenne is missing?" And they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So I think my mom and brother and sister, the sister that I think is missing shows up and the cops are like, "We're just gonna let you guys deal with this, right?"
Yeah, they don't want to deal with that shit.
Yeah. And my obvious it's very obvious what happened, right? Like I relapsed.
Mhm.
And so they confront me like, "Yo, what happened?" You know? At the same time as this confrontation is happening, there are things that have come to light within the family, and all of that's going on at the same time. And what it is that the uncle that sexually abused me then went on to sexually abuse others in the family. And this is all hitting the fan right now. And my mom, I don't know, my mom and I don't have like the best relationship.
Mhm.
And we never have. Like even as a kid, there's her and I don't have the best relationship. And so I don't know when she put two and two together, but during this confrontation or intervention or whatever it was, right? Like she tells me like, "Hey, all this stuff's going on with your uncle. Like, did this happen to you?" And this was the first time in my life that I admitted it to anybody. But I didn't admit it because I thought it was going to make me better. I admitted it because I was in full blown addiction mode again. And I thought I was going to manipulate the situation, right? Like, yes, that happened. I thought it was going to like take some kind of heat off of me,
Mhm.
right? And and I'm very glad that it did. I'm very glad that I talked about it that day because if I didn't admit it, if I would have lied and said that that didn't happen, I don't know what the downstream effects of that would have been. I know what the downstream effects of me admitting it was. And so, and I'll get into that, but which is it's a very big part of the why I'm sitting here today, really. But um we start this conversation. My wife relapsed with me. And so now my parents are trying to figure out like what are we gonna do with you and what are we gonna do with you? And also, what are we gonna do with your daughter? Right? Because she's just a little baby. Like she can't get caught up in the collateral damage of this. Matthew,
Mhm.
we already are raising your 15-year-old daughter.
Mm.
Like, it's like this whole in the reality and to be fully transparent, right? I had already done this to my parents once, right? And this was like the apprehension of me coming back in the first place was like, is this shit gonna happen again? And sure enough, it happened again. And all of these things kind of culminate in this situation where they send my wife to treatment and they don't send me to treatment, right? And I'm like, okay, I just I gotta stop and I can do this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I got all these reasons. So the reason why they sent her to treatment is because I was going to watch the baby because she actually needed help. And in my head, I'm like, I don't need help. I'm good. I'm just going to stop and I'll take care of the baby. Well, I couldn't stop. Like, I literally couldn't stop. And I had to tell my dad, I was like, listen, dude, I can't stop. I need you guys to take the baby and I need to go to treatment. And so I go to treatment. And uh, I'm on an interstate compact, right? So I have Texas is supervising my probation. And I don't want to tell probation that I relapsed. So, and in my head, I'm like, I'm good. Like, I just need to go there, detox, and get off. And then that's all I need to do. Well, that's what I did. I was there for 16 or 17 days. I got off the drugs. I detoxed. But because I'm a high risk for relapse and overdose, they put me on Suboxone. And while I'm there, though, I find this really, really good therapist. Okay. And I commit to doing outpatient and therapy, and I leave after 17 days. But now I'm on Suboxone. And the whole 17 days that I was there, the kick opiate addicts, right? And so I've kicked many times on a jail cell floor. I've kicked many times on the streets. I've kicked many times in treatment, right? This treatment center, because of Suboxone and the comfort meds and stuff, the kicking wasn't the problem. In my head, I'm going, how am I going to deal with this sexual abuse thing that now that it's at the forefront, they're going to be talking about it. I'm going to have to start talking about it. I'm actually going to have to deal with this now, right? And I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? I find this therapist, which again, these are like pieces that have to be orchestrated by something greater than yourself, right?
Mhm.
I meet my therapist for the first time, and she's a member of the LDS church, right? And so she also understands not just the trauma side, not just the therapy side, but also the family dynamics around like my childhood and upbringing and all of it, right? And I go to therapy for 18 months, right? I mean, and for the first like couple months, it was twice a week. And then it was once a week. Like for months, it was once a week. And then for months, it was every other week. And then for months, it was once a month. And now I'm just once a month just to check in, right? Just to have the continuum of that care. Um, but at the end of it, basically at the end of that 18 months, she goes, um, she gave me a diagnosis, probably a month into the therapy. So we had like a framework to like at least be able to see this picture through, right? She gave me a diagnosis and then we do the work. And at the end of the 18 months, she goes, Matt, I don't think you're using because of sexual abuse. I don't think you're using because of trauma. I don't think you're using because of things that happened to you. I think you're using because you like using, right? And I'm like, and in my head, I'm going, yes. Like, because that's what I had always thought anyway, right? That I don't use because somebody did this or this person did that. I'm out here using because I like to use. And what it did was it put the ball in my court. Because if I could point to that sexual abuse or the neglect or the physical abuse, right? We were raised in the 90s.
Mhm.
Things that qualified as discipline back then would put people in prison today, right?
Oh, yeah.
And my mom was raised in the 70s where it was dude, it was very different.
Mhm.
Plus, my grandpa, Vietnam vet, war vet, raised in a very physical home as well. So it was just like the generational happenstance around discipline crossing the line into abuse, right?
Mhm.
But I had always thought to myself, like, if I could point to these things and say that's why I used, then the rest of my life I'm fucked because I'll always have something to point to and say, this is why I relapsed, or this is why this happened, or that's why this happened. So when she put that ball in my court and said, the reason why you're using is because you like to use, I was like, now I have a choice. Now I can choose to relapse or choose to fuck up or choose, right? But it's my choice. I can never use these things as scapegoats to be like, I am mentally fucked up because I was sexually abused. It's like, no, dude, I relapsed because I wanted to. And that is the framework that I use in my recovery, right? Is like, this is my choice. I am recovering today because it's my choice. But if I use tomorrow, I use because it's my choice, right? And so I work through all of that trauma. I do the heavy lifting around it, right? And now I kind of like set myself up for success. But I got this Suboxone issue, right? I kind of merge these timelines. I get out of treatment
Yeah.
and
98 milligrams. Yep.
dude, 98
That's fucking
milligram
insane.
strips.
Yeah.
And
And you were
my
using for 11 days. It's like
11 days, dude.
you're high risk of relapse, so we're going to clinically
So
put you on
clinical
98
criteria.
fucking milligram. That's absurd.
24
Okay.
milligrams a day,
Okay.
right? 24 milligrams a day. So that's 3 strips a day for 30 days. They give me the supply, right? They tell me, here's your Suboxone. And I'm looking at, my brother picks me up and I'm looking at my prescription. I'm going, this is really fucked up, right? Like, how am I going to deal with this? So immediately I go, I already know that if I go to a doctor, they're not going to like, because of the last doctor's medical suggestion, right? They're not just going to take me down. So I'm like, I've got to do this by myself. So over the next 2 months, I go from 24 milligrams to 2 milligrams. And dude, easy. Dude, it was so easy, right? Like I was like, I'm going to systematically lower my dose daily until I'm off.
Mhm.
But then I got to 2 milligrams and dude, for 10 months struggled.
Struggle bus hard.
Dude, it was
Yeah.
a living hell. It was literally a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I would go down to like 1/4 of a milligram a day. And the other thing is like these strips, it isn't distributed evenly. amongst the
No, you
strips.
have to sit there with a fucking scissor
Yeah.
and
You have
like
to cut
eye it.
them.
Pull out your measuring tape.
Dude, and it's like, and even still, like maybe this half has more than this half, and so it's like,
Yeah.
I would think that I'm getting down to like 1/4 of a milligram a day, and I would be dog sick. So now I'd take another milligram, and dude, so I was going like this: 2 milligrams, 1/4 of a milligram, 2 milligrams, 1/4 of a milligram, dude, for 10 months, and because I was going through this, my brain, whether it was 10% at any given time or 100%. My brain was preoccupied with my medication.
It
And
was your
so
higher power.
It was my higher power, dude. And because it was my higher power, I was dedicating pretty decent amounts of my day to the thought of that medication. And so I'm like, how am I going to do this? Like, I'm a heroin addict, right? And my biggest fear in life is kicking. And now I'm experiencing that Suboxone kick is a whole different beast. Right? It is a different experience, right? And I would rather kick heroin any day than
You should have just jumped off Sabat. You know when you said you went to 2 milligram for a while and you felt like dog shit, you should have just fucking
I know.
and just bit the bullet and went through it.
I
But
know.
if anyone's listening, don't take that advice that we're giving here as medical advice.
It is not medical advice, dude. It's these are just our anecdotal experiences.
Yep.
And on top of that, we're addicts, dude. Like, we don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Right?
So you finally get off and
But this is what happens. I get on the Suboxone website because the Suboxone website has all of the providers in the local area. So I get on the map and I start calling all of the doctors that prescribe Suboxone. And I talk to 7 different doctors and a nurse practitioner. And all of them say, my medical advice is that you stay on the medication.
they don't want to get you off.
And I'm like, fuck, dude.
Liability.
Yeah, liability, licensure, like all of this stuff plays into what the doctor tells you. And I talk about this on my podcast all the time. Doctors are bound by legalities and licensure, not bound by the truth. Okay, so one of my best friends is the only neurologist in the country that is also an addiction medicine specialist, right? So, and I say that knowing that this is one of my best friends. We have conversations about it. We have podcasts about it. Like we have talked about this ad nauseum. But so now I get basically told to screw off, right? Like all these doctors have told me you're going to stay on it. And that's just the way that it is. And I'm on Reddit. I'm on this peer support forum. Yeah. This is where
you'll get the truth on Reddit.
Dude.
Go ahead.
And I'm looking through this thread and it's just a single line. And the line says, I finally got off Suboxone. So I click on that line and it opens the thread, the conversation that sprung off of that line. And it's this guy talking about how he got off Suboxone after years of trying to get off. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, fuck this. I skipped to the bottom. And now I'm like reading it reverse. And I'm like, wait, what? What? How does that make sense? And then I finally read the part that's important. He goes, I got a single shot of Sublocade and I never had a single withdrawal symptom. And I'm like, I felt like I had found like the holy grail, right? So now I get on the Sublocade website and now I'm calling all of the local providers.
They're not going to do that for you.
But guess what? They want me to stay on Suboxone too. And okay, so just on this fluke chance, I call a pain management. I get on this random website. I don't even remember how I got there, but I get on this random website. It's a pain management clinic in the Woodlands, and I'm reading through this guy's story. The guy that owns the pain management clinic, this is where they prescribe opiates to people who are in chronic pain. He's in recovery, and they employ LCDCs, and they employ addiction medicine specialists. And his whole thing is, we get you your pain managed, and then we get you off the opiates with MAT. And we use addiction counselors, and I was like, what the fuck? And he was like, and we use Sublocade. So I call him, and I call this owner of this pain management clinic, and I tell him, this is what happened. And he goes, okay, come in, do the assessment. And if I think like that what you're telling me is true, and I want to see your medical records, like I'll give you one shot. I was like, okay, so dude, and it's a series. He wants me to talk to a doctor and then an LCDC, and then he wants to talk to me after they make their assessments. And sure enough, by the time we get through with the assessments and all this stuff, he goes, okay, like, let's do this, right? And so he gives me one shot of Sublocade, a single shot, and I don't have a single withdrawal symptom ever. And I've been off of that for a year and 8 months now, right?
Wow.
But the important part of that story is that for people like us that are struggling to get off of that stuff, there are options out there, right? But you need to do it in a medically safe condition, and you just need to talk to people. Just talk to more people. If you're struggling with getting off MAT and you want to, just talk to people. Just keep talking, and you'll find a solution. I found my solution at this pain clinic, right? And that was just another God shot around like perfect timing. Because at the same time that was all going on, I was seriously looking at starting a treatment center, right? And wait, so let me go back to this. Is that I got sober. I got sober, right, in that treatment center. But I started my recovery way later, right? And Taylor Kavanaugh, I called him. I watched one of his podcasts, and he has his actual phone number like everywhere online.
He's crazy.
Dude, and I called
Nobody's pranking him.
Dude.
He'll fucking come find you.
Sure. And I reached out to him, and I called him, and I told him like, hey, dude, I'm fucking struggling. Like, this is what's going on. And he goes, dude, you're going to relapse. And I was like, I know. He's like, what are you doing? Like, why do you keep doing the exact same thing that is making you more and more miserable? And I was like, well, dude, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And he goes, go to bed as early as you can today. Wake up in the morning as early as you can. Do push-ups. Sit with yourself for a couple minutes. And then go to the gym and call me. I was like, okay. And I literally have not stopped doing that since. And Taylor and I talk all the time. And since then, he has helped guide me down the path that I'm on. It's become less and less intense to where like now we just touch base whenever.
Of course.
But if it wasn't for him, I would not be clean today. I can almost guarantee it. Like, dude, I was really fucked up. I was fucked up and clean, right? I was going into meetings miserable.
Yeah, I was there. I've been there.
And I was coming out of them even more miserable, right? And it got to the point where I was like, I just need more meetings. And so now I'm going to 6 meetings a day. Going into, dude.
No, that's not the answer.
Dude, and he goes, what the fuck are you doing? Like, dude. And you know what he told me? He was like, He goes, "Are you helping anybody?" I was like, "No." And keep in mind, like, I had done the steps again, right? I was sponsoring people. At this point, I was sponsoring people, and I just was not moving the needle. And I wasn't just working steps. I was working steps with other people. I was on my second set of steps, and I was trying to fit, like,
You really needed purpose.
yes,
You needed that fucking
Sure.
hard-earned purpose.
Yeah.
That's what you needed, not the motions, the
Right.
purpose.
Yeah. And so Taylor tells me, "Are you helping anybody? Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do all day?
Mhm.
Like, you go to meetings and like come home fucking miserable, like acting like somebody kicked your dog, and you take it out on your wife and your
Mhm.
kid." And it's like, I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know." And he goes, "Look, stop everything that you're doing. Stop doing that and just do this and see if that works. And if it works, we'll get on a plan, right? Like, I'll help you, but just see if that works." And dude, it immediately started helping. I mean, I literally feel like from one day to the next, it was a complete 180 around like how miserable I was. And I tell all the people that I work with now, because I do recovery coaching, um, I always tell the young men that I work with, it's like, if you're not going to the gym, you are leaving way too much money, like recovery capital, on the
Mhm.
table. Like, if you're not addressing that side of it, it fucking doesn't really matter what else you're doing. You're probably going to relapse. Like, that's just what the statistics say. That's what my story says. That's what everybody that I surround myself with, Frank, me, Taylor,
The physical is huge. You have
Justin
fucking
Turner.
anxiety. You have depression. Go fucking work out.
Yes.
Go for a run. Go hit a bag. Go do something like that.
Yeah.
You will relieve that.
Immediately. And I discovered a universal truth that I got to tell Taylor, right? Suffering plus helping another person equals immediate relief, right? So now my recovery has evolved into something that I suggest to everybody, right? Is that if you're not working out, you're leaving too much money on the table. But if you're not helping somebody else, and there's like frameworks of help, right? There's the 12-step frameworks of help. There's the peer support frameworks of help. There's just you doing something for your wife. There's like all of these different domains that you can help people in. And it's like, if you're not helping somebody, then you are literally moving backwards in your recovery. So you've got to find a way to move that needle every day. And so I built my whole life. The life that I live today is a direct result of Taylor saying, "Are you helping somebody else?" I dove into peer support, right? I got certified as it's a certified peer and family specialist. And I started certifying. Now I teach the course, right? I do recovery coaching, but I started a treatment center, and I looked at it the way that I saw it was this is like, the treatment industry is broken because we're not trying to help people get and maintain recovery. We're trying to get people to come back.
Yeah, it's
right?
business.
It's a business.
It's fucked up.
Also,
It's a
like,
fine line.
It is a fine line, and I would venture to say that there are good actors out there, but the dime dozen are bad actors, right? And I wouldn't ever take anything away from the addiction professional on the ground, frontline addiction professionals, because they don't set the pace for the product that they deliver. The owners, the investors, and the payers do, right? So it's those owners. The average treatment owner is somebody in recovery. The problem is we're egomaniacs, and you give us money, prestige, reputation.
Oh, no.
That's all you're feeding. That is all you're feeding, right? And so that's how you end up at these conventions where the Ferraris are pulling up and the McLarens and the Porsches, and dude's hopping out and he thinks he's the second coming, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're so great. You help thousands of people." And it's like, yeah, but are you really? Like, are you really helping people? When the reality is that 98.5% of people that receive treatment one time will receive treatment an average of 7 times before they get sober for their first year. Okay? If that is a true statistic, then what we are doing is alleviating symptoms. We are not healing people. The problem with that is we are sacrificing lives to make money at that point. Because we know that out of 100 of these people that we help, maybe the statistics say 65% of them will come back within 90 days. But how many of those people are going to die? Right? How many of that 100 are going to go out there and overdose, are going to go out there and whatever, like get shot, get whatever, because they go right back into it. Okay? We are sacrificing lives to make money. And coming into the industry, my whole idea was, from a client's perspective, how can I change this thing so that the goal is one and done instead of the goal is, hey, on the way out, telling them, hey, if anything happens, come back. Right. And so, yeah, dude, it's my whole life today is geared around two things: is my kids and helping other people. The helping other people part is how I stay sober, and my kids part is how I stay sane. Right? Working out feeds into both of them, but the reality is, the only reason why I work out is so that I can continue to live the life that I live, so that I can have the time with my kids, and so that I can help other people. So you can work out and be sober, you're probably going to relapse. You can be sober and not work out, you're probably going to relapse. You have to have sobriety, the physical. So this is what it is. The man is 4 parts, and you want to be as even keel as possible. It's your spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. And they all have gravity. So
you threw emotional in there. I like that.
Yeah. Because your mental and emotional, I feel like people tie that together too much. But there's a reason why there's EQ and IQ, right? You have emotional quotient and intellectual quotient. That means that they're separated, even scientifically, right? You can measure them scientifically. So why are we not treating them individually as part of the whole person?
I don't mean to cut you off, but you do bring up a good point, because I know I shouldn't lash out at that person if they piss me off. I know, but I act in sobriety. I've had someone do something to me. I know damn well I have 8.5 years of sobriety. That's enough time to work on myself to know how I should react in a certain situation.
Yeah.
Because I've, failed, and then I still act the same way. So you could have the IQ and the EQ separate.
Sure.
I like your approach there.
Also, a lot of people that get into recovery, they seem to develop their EQ, right? But they never get on to the other parts, which is the intellectual part. And I really don't like to disparage any recovery community, right? But I think that the emotional maturity that gets developed in certain groups of people is almost strategically done to stop you from thinking outside of the box. Because I left 12-step programming because I put these other things in place and realized, like, one of the things that was pointing me towards that relapse was continually going into those rooms and telling everybody something that I didn't believe, which was, I don't fit the dictionary definition of an addict if I'm not actively using. And so I believe, and me and Taylor talk about this all the time, is that you will manifest the identity that you wear. And so if I continue, this is just for me, right?
You're good. You don't have to you're good.
Okay.
You're your own recovery.
If I continually identify as this thing, I will end up manifesting this. And I know this for me personally because I did it for so long. I manifested the identity that I wore, right? And so I left because I needed to develop the rest of me, not just the emotional side, right? But I needed to develop my intellectual. I needed to develop my physical, and I needed to develop my spiritual. And I wasn't getting the spiritual fed in the rooms. Okay. So I had to go out there and really develop me wholly, right? Holistically, the whole me, not just address this one thing. And all of these things were working in conjunction with therapy, working out, working with Taylor, working with other people, becoming a peer support specialist. Like, all of these things is the foundation for why I do what I do today. Mm-hmm. It's also, I think if I was missing any of them, I would be in severe danger of returning to serious symptoms, which is what? Use, right? So the message that I like to bring to people, ultimately men, right, is that men who cannot control their emotions will be controlled by their emotions. This person, that's the 4-part person, every single one of them has gravity. So if you're not fixing your emotional, that has gravity and it will pull the rest of you into it. Mm-hmm. If you're not working on your physical, it has gravity and it will pull the rest of it into it. And if you start down that slope, the end result is almost inevitably a relapse, right? And so My Last Relapse is the name of my podcast, but my last relapse was the most pivotal moment of my life, okay? 11 days where nothing really happened versus 20 years of destruction and devastation. And this 11 days was the most pivotal moments of my life where nothing happened because it taught me that I just didn't want to do that anymore. right? So when people say that relapse isn't a part of recovery, 99% of people relapse now. So I would say that it is. Also, relapse teaches people lessons in resilience and responsibility and all of these different things that, like, if that relapse didn't happen, maybe you wouldn't have learned that lesson.
Mm.
Also, if you've never relapsed, how are you going to help the people that do, which is the large majority of us, right? They have this experience that was detrimental and also foundational to who they could become. But if you can't help them through experience, how are you going to help them? That's the other part, is like, recovery is the result of the wreckage, right? People think you enter recovery and you become a new person. No, you become the person that you were building during all of the destruction, right? So the house that was built as a child, you destroyed that, and now you're using the pieces of that to build this new house. It isn't a new person. It's a different house with the same pieces, right? And so it's like, we don't become this new person. We become the person that we were supposed to be because of the wreckage. People, and that's why in the book it says, like, we don't regret the past or wish to shut the door on it. I feel like a lot of people try to shut the door on it unless it's beneficial to them. So unless they're in front of the room and they're speaking, or unless they're on a podcast and they get to talk about the wreckage, right? And it's like, the reality is, within the peer support framework, the only thing that qualifies me to do what I do is my experience. And so if I'm not constantly using my experience to build other people up, then I'm squandering the thing. Do you know why the Bible says don't cast your pearls before swine?
Mm-mm.
A lot of people don't. And I don't know where I picked this up or how I don't really know how I came up with this, but the reason why is because, I remember. In Snatch, they say that you got to remove the teeth because it'll rip the lining of the pig, right? Because they'll eat it. And I was like, oh, they'll eat anything. It's like, yeah. The reason why you don't cast your pearls before swine is because they will eat it. And in order to get it back, you got to dig in their shit, right? And so these are my pearls, right? Like, and these are the things that actually bring me value, is my experience. I have no marketable skill. I'm a 37-year-old in life that just paid taxes for the first time ever this year, right? I have no marketable skill. I have nothing really that I have built in my life that people would pay me for other than my experience, right? And so if I can benefit other people and build a life that I never thought that I could live just because of my experience, I feel like it's an obligation. I feel like every person who enters recovery has an obligation to pay it forward to the people in front of them, because if you don't enter recovery and help other people, I think you should just stay using, because what are you doing? Like you're going to get sober and not do anything. I feel like it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your insight. And also, too, I want to just add a little disclaimer. There is no one way to recover.
Sure. Yeah.
Some people go to 12-step, some people don't.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I go to 12-step. It helps me. I take what I want from there and I leave what I want.
Yeah.
But everyone has their own journey. There isn't one way to get sober.
Yeah.
Really quick, before we do wrap up, little fun.
Okay.
What was the craziest thing you ever saw in prison?
Craziest thing. I saw a dude shove a cell phone up his ass.
Can you tell us the story?
Yeah, we were getting hit. I mean, they were going like block to block, hitting people. Somebody had overdosed on the yard and they were going to clean house, right? And we had this house cell phone. Mind you, this is 2009. 2009. So there was no smartphones. I mean, I think the iPhone came out in 2005. And I think, up until that point, I mean, these flip phones were still $1,000 on the yard. So we had this one phone that like was kind of a floater that everybody used. And we were like, these are like not small cell phones. And like, what are we going to do with this? And this dude got paid 7 grams of heroin to stick it up his ass so that we wouldn't get caught with it. Yeah.
Ooh. And all right, second question. What was the heroin detox like?
Which one?
The worst one.
Okay. So I kick really well. Okay. Like by the time I was done, I had gotten so used to kicking, right? So I think the worst detox that I ever had was my first detox in jail. First of all, it's freezing in jail, right? And I had never shit on myself. I've shit on myself many times since then, but I'd never shit on myself up to this point. And I didn't really understand how bad kicking in jail could be, but I was on the floor of a jail cell, butt naked with cellies, butt naked, and they knew what was going on, like dry heaving. I had no more to throw up, and I'd like shit on myself. They were trying to get the cops to help me clean it up, dude. I was so miserable. Like it was one of the most painful experiences mentally, emotionally, and physically that I had ever had in my life. Like to this day, where like that set the pace for the next 14 years where like I don't want to kick. Like it was that big of a fear. Like doing that again became such a big fear that even when I would like get dope sick or like if I knew that like something was going to happen where I couldn't get it for like the next 20 hours, like I would make sure I had like as much meth and weed that I could possibly have around me so that I just don't do that, you know? But yeah, it was I remember like praying to, you know, it's these prayers that you pray.
Foxhole prayer.
Dude.
Yeah. You didn't even believe in God, but you were doing it anyways.
No. And I just remember thinking to myself and like praying to God, God, I will never do this again if you make this stop. Right. And it's like, I was bleeding out of my head because like I had dry heaved and like hit these toilets are stainless steel. And
Yeah,
I
of course.
So now I'm like bleeding and there's shit on the floor and I'm puking and it's like, oh, dude, it was like the most dramatic thing. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, Maddie, I want to thank you for coming on. Appreciate you traveling out.
Yeah.
Taking the trip. Very powerful story. Appreciate the vulnerability. And really quick, the name of your podcast is called My Last Relapse?
Yes.
Okay. So, and where can people find it?
YouTube. Go to YouTube. I'm trying to build a subscriber base there, but it's on every streaming platform. But
okay.
Go to YouTube. Also, Instagram and TikTok. It's the same thing. My Last Relapse.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, bud.
Man, I appreciate having you having me come out. I really do.